What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the KCM. It's time to finish off strong with the TVP finals. Now, we weren't expecting it in 2025. TVP, in fact, Protoss really popped off this season, so we'll see if they can close it out here. Taking a look at the lineup, Best, Mini, Bisu, Stork versus Royal, Sharp, Barracks, and Speed. Definitely a hole missing in that Protoss lineup with Snow missing, but Stork is here to try and pick up the slack. I don't know if he's capable, though.
He's certainly not capable of some of these guys. Like, I'm glad he's not just against Royal straight out of the gate. That'd be almost surefire loss there for Stork. Maybe he can win over Sharp. It is close spawns here on the southern hemisphere of Polestar. But yeah, like, Stork's a bit of a dinosaur. He's still good, but compared to some of these other guys, not quite up to scratch, maybe. But Best, Mini, Bisu, pretty solid besides that. Best and Mini in particular, really solid heavy hitter guys. And no light for the Terran squad as well. They, you know, could easily replace one of these guys. So not the strongest of lineups from either side. Maybe it'll balance out a little bit. But yeah, I think the main thing is how good Royal is going to play today, because he's been absolutely steaming recently. I'm a little bit concerned. Unless someone like Best can shut him down, he might just go on a tear.
Yeah, for sure. Royal has been a crazy story in this season of KCM. Like, he's just really come into his own this season alone, right? He wasn't really performing before. He didn't really perform this last ASL, but he just exploded in this season of KCM, and he's been playing like a beast in Pro League as well. Best, on the other hand, came up huge in the last couple of weeks of KCM. Oh my gosh, just crushing face. Absolutely ridiculous. So it's kind of a match between these two. I mean, there's lots of side characters here, but Best versus Royal is what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, I definitely think they would be warranted in having main character syndrome right now. They've just been carrying their respective squads so heavily going forward. And a first scout from Sharp going to be helping him out here a little bit. He's also got an 11 gas to optimize his factory timings. That vulture's going to be popping out like 5 or so seconds ahead of schedule, so he could punish something like a 12 Nexus. But Stork isn't doing that. He's just doing a little 1 gate core. And they're going to be playing very middle of the road, so this 11 gas hopefully won't do anything too significant to him.
Yeah, what I'm looking for here in this game is whether Stork can block the early game vulture harassments, the run-bys here, as Sharp is kind of getting off the ground and getting in with those vulture bikes. Will Stork have the walls up in time? Will he have everything in position? Because we've seen so many time and time again, Stork just barely be off and lose so many probes that it's almost impossible to come back.
Right, well, if he's dialed in, he would have seen that with the probe scout just now. If you're actually clicking on the factory and seeing how much health it's got at that stage in the game, if you really know your stuff, he will identify this as an 11 gas. But maybe he's not quite, you know, on top of things. He might be a little bit tricked by that and not be as super safe against the vulture run-bys. But if Sharp doesn't do any damage with the vulture pressure, maybe Stork can actually have a really good game here, because Sharp is really reliant on doing early game damage. And this is a nice move out from these 3 Marines. He's getting away with not making a bunker by challenging this goon out in the field, not allowing it to do its job and get a confirmation scout on whether or not there's a CC on the way. This could be a 2 factory build still. Stork doesn't know that this is going to be a 1 factory into expansion, so that's going to make Stork play a little bit conservatively as well.
This is curious. I don't think I've really seen this. 11 gas into instant machine shop with no vulture. Is that... I mean, that seems really unorthodox from Sharp. We've still not got a vulture out here.
I think the plan from him was, I'll use the 11 gas to make a vulture to punish a 12 Nexus, but because he didn't scout a 12 Nexus, he's like, okay, I'll try and, you know, just ignore that for now and play catch up and not try and rely too heavily on the early game vulture damage. And now he's going to catch a Dragoon, actually. This is a pretty big deal, getting a lot of damage on this Dragoon already. Down to 81 HP with all of its shields shaved off, and he still doesn't know for sure exactly what Sharp's intentions are. He's got a better idea after he saw that siege tank and the count of Marines. He knows this isn't, you know, just like a strong FD push or something, but it seems like Sharp might actually go for that. It's going to be a bit delayed, but he might actually go up to like 5 or 6 Marines, wait for a second tank, and then go.
I think we got a good example of what makes Stork a little bit less of a factor in our minds is walking his Dragoon right into the Terran army. He's one of those guys, it's kind of misleading, right? 360 APM, but he's one of the slower players in the lineup right now, and he tends to make some of those mistakes. He's not as good at the multitasking, but his strategic thinking and decision making is absolutely world class. We'll see if that pulls through here. He's bringing up the Marines with 2 tanks, trying to target down that back Dragoon. No pull there from the Dragoon. Can he get the 1 tank? He gets 1 more shot off, but man, loses a lot of these forces here without really clearing this, and the mines are going to be laid down right in the face. This is where you can just die. This is what I was talking about. The early game pressure with Vulture is where Sharp tends to shine and where Stork seems to fall short.
Yeah, he's not quite dealt with this efficiently enough. I think he'll still be okay, but he's lost mining in his natural. If he gets this tank, that would be great. Luckily, he's got an observer to bat back these mines. He's already lost quite a lot of Dragoons, and just the fact that he lost that much mining time in his natural does hurt him a lot here. So this has already been pretty successful from Sharp to go for that slightly delayed strong FD push. And it threw Stork off because the timings were a little bit weird, and Stork was probably thinking, oh, I'm probably okay, and it still came through and did a lot of damage.
Well, he had a really decent build for holding this back. 2 gate goon into observer. It's not the most defensive that you could possibly be, but you should have enough to stop a tank push like that, and it kind of went Sharp's way. Still, it didn't cripple Stork. We didn't see like a mine connection on a Zealot on top of probes or anything like that that could have like wiped out that mineral line as it was retreating back into the main base. So dodges a bullet, manages to survive. We'll see how Stork does as he's taking this 3rd base.
Yeah, he's only 8 supply ahead right now, which is not where you want to be as Protoss 7 minutes into the game. And I'm curious what Sharp's intentions are going to be. Terrans have been expanding earlier and earlier recently. Like, it's very common for them to take like a 9-minute CC for their 3rd base these days. I'm wondering if does he want to go for something like that. He's actually setting up a little bit of anti-shuttle defense here with some mines on the periphery and a turret going up, just in case Stork wants to, you know, try and get in there with a Reaver and get some compensation in the way of doing some harassment with that Reaver in the main base of Sharp. But don't think it'll be super successful. It looks like Sharp is kind of set up enough to deflect that, but all of his forces are in the natural expansion. He's gonna have to rotate those tanks back into the main now if he wants to take 0 damage.
Yeah, Stork not known to be the best Reaver player out there. He's generally pretty decent, like all Protoss players, but Sharp is very strong at dealing with this. He's had a lot of experience taking on Snow. We've seen him in finals versus Snow in the past. He's trained up for this type of harassment, and you can see has the correct coverage here in the main base. He's got everything mapped out as to where his mines and tanks should be, where the turrets need to be placed to completely deflect this, and Stork gets no damage.
Yeah, it seems like Sharp, does get a 1 Scarab connection on a tank, but that's not going to lead up to much. He can just repair that up, and really good response from Sharp overall. Gets the repair on the turret to deny the 2-shot volley, killing it, and only takes 1 shot on a tank. This is definitely sustainable for Sharp going forward, and he's going to rush straight into 5 Factory. So he's not going to be going for a super early 3rd base here. He's going to go for a more pressure-orientated build and then take a delayed 3rd base behind that at some time. Stork isn't being super greedy. He's got 4 gateways. It's a little bit light against a 5 Factory. So he's going to have to add on a lot more gateways soon, or maybe Sharp will have a timing where he can just run it down and do a lot of damage soon.
Yeah, the 5 Factory is pretty versatile for a build, a Terran build. A lot of Terran builds are extremely rigid, and they don't have a lot of room for maneuvering, but the 5 factory can either be a quicker third base, or you can go ahead and put on a lot of pressure, just try to drive it home on the Protoss side of the map. Gonna get the probe here, slowing down that 4th base, and he's gonna slide down towards this 3rd. See if he can maybe take this base. Couple of shots here on the tank. He should be able to get the kill. No, doesn't get the 2nd shot off with the Reaver, and so he'll lose both the Reavers. Does trade back a few Goliaths, but no tanks were killed in that fight, and so Stork, he might be under a lot of pressure here. Sharp unsieging. Is he just going to go for it?
Yeah, losing the shuttle to 2 Goliaths and then the Reavers as well, I mean, it's a big trigger timing for Terran. You kind of have to push right now. The Protoss needs those Reavers to slow down this advance, so he's gaining a lot of ground for free. Stork does not have enough to defend this adequately. He's going to have to hope that somehow Sharp is a little bit off with his tank timings. He tries to get a bit of a Zealot bomb on the tank on the front line. Not successful in getting that killed. Good target firing from Sharp here as well. Making sure that he's not going to be killing his own units with that splash damage. And Stork's in a lot of trouble, man.
Yeah, it was a really good unsiege as well. Not allowing his tanks to splash the frontal tanks as the Zealot gets dropped there. Stork right pushed up back against his wall. Gonna try to run forward here with all his Dragoons. Really good target fire in the middle of these Dragoons, though, with all the siege tanks. Not enough Zealots here, and Sharp pushing forward. This is the versatility of the 5-fact build. The moment that he senses weakness, Sharp's able to pull the trigger. He cancels the plan for the 3rd and just goes for the kill, and it's working so far. Stork is barely hanging on here. He's gonna try and go for some really high-value drops. Nice mine connection there on a tank. Almost loses the Reaver there to the mine, though. Does lose the Reaver here in range of the tank fire, and that's just about that. Almost no way for Stork to come back after losing all this.
He's just got leg enhancements online now, which usually is the timing where you start to come back against a push like this, but he's traded so poorly leading up to this moment, especially after losing those initial Reavers, that it won't matter. I mean, at the moment, Sharp is going to easily outscale him while expanding behind it. As soon as the Terran gets set up with some turrets here as well, it's effectively GG. It's so hard to bulldog and break this kind of a Terran contain when you've got this little forces to work with. Stork's going to try and do a lot with a little, but I don't think it's going to matter. I think that the writing is on the wall for Stork right now. He's at risk of being taken out in just a few moments.
It looks easy when Snow does it, controlling Reavers the way he does, but it's certainly not, and we're seeing what can happen when any mistakes are made with that very precious Reaver unit. 2 Reavers going down at a timing like this has caused all the pain that Stork is experiencing right now. Great clearing here with some of these mines, but he needs a miracle connection by pulling some mines in with these Zealots. Oh, a mine there on the left-hand side kills 3 Dragoons at the same time, and as the remainder of the forces file in for their execution, Stork is about to tap out. Sharp just continuing to spread, split, and control his units here against these Reavers. And even with that tank going down, tanks are continuing to roll forward, and there's just too much pressure here for Stork to handle.
Yeah, there's nothing he can do from this point onwards. Like, he has to trade at like a 75% efficiency rating, and it's just not possible with that Terran setup. GG is called. Very nice, convincing win on the board for Sharp already. Protoss gonna have to dig deeper to make sure they don't fall behind in this finals, and in a way it's a good thing. You know, I don't want to put any disrespect onto him, but now that Stork's out of the way, I think the last remaining 3 Protoss players are more than adequate enough to go the distance now with the rest of the Terran squad as well, included.
The Dino Toss is extinct. It's been sent back to the Stone Age, and it will be relegated to just giving tips to his Protoss companions here. I think he's better as a strategist anyway. In the grand scheme of things, it is kind of a hidden factor in KCM that these guys are communicating between games, you know, giving each other tips, talking about their opponents and how best to dismantle them. And Stork is one of those guys who's just very good to have on your team.
Yeah, he's definitely not able to hang with the guys in terms of his execution, but he does have really good knowledge about the game, and he is one of the most experienced Protoss players, maybe besides Bisu and Best. They also have a lot of experience, but Stork's been around for a very long time, and he does know the game inside and out. He's just not quite as fast at keeping up with the fresh blood in the game, which is a shame because he might be a bit of a dinosaur now. Once upon a time, he was full-on T-Rex, just destroying people with carrier micro. Looks like Sharp here, a little bit concerned that there might be some shenanigans going on. Actually checking the perimeter of his main base, just in case there was a probe sneaking in, maybe doing a proxy gate. But it's going to be a Nexus first, which is super common on this map, and Sharp is actually going to be countering that with his own CC first. So this is going to be a pretty strong macro game.
Yeah, the CC first is a little bit risky, but I like that Sharp went out and checked in front of his base beforehand, and most Terran players won't do that. Just kind of decide to gamble and just go for the gamble, but he actually kind of gives himself a bit of a safety net by checking to make sure there's not a proxy. At least if he knows there's not gateways right in front of his base, then he's probably going to be okay. So I like that adaptation from Sharp, and Bisu's not going to be happy about this. You know, taking the Nexus first is great, and it's funny, like, there's a lot of memes about how strong Nexus first is, but CC first is definitely better.
Yeah, it's not like League's better, but it's enough better that you don't feel super confident with your 12 Nexus anymore. It's kind of a weird rock, paper, scissors situation. Like, you'd almost rather be proxying against something like this and punishing it. It's kind of like the opposite of if Terran go like bunker expand versus a 12 next, then it's a lot more even, and the 12 nexus is ever so slightly ahead. But this is like the complete opposite, where now the CC first is quite a bit ahead of the 12 nexus, and Bisu has a long rush distance as well, so there's not really any counterplay to this. He's going to have to rely on, you know, maybe some Reaver micro or something to try and compensate. But he's also going to have to worry about Sharp maybe rushing into dropship behind this and putting tanks behind the mineral line of Bisu. So Bisu kind of has to go fast robo no matter what.
How concerned do you think Sharp should be about carrier on this map? Because I've seen carrier do really well, but we really haven't seen that many TVPs on Screaming Sea. It's mostly been PVZ and TVZ that we've actually got to cast here.
Yeah, we haven't seen a lot of TVP here. I do think carriers are really strong on this map. It definitely has more value than something like an Arbiter play. I just don't think recalls are going to give you as much value as carriers flying up and down this straight, and also give you control over the island expansions, both to stop the Terran taking them and making sure you can defend your own. So I would really like to see Bisu go straight into Reavers from this with a fast shuttle, and then he can take an island base, he can go quite quickly into carriers off of those 3 or 4 bases, and I think that'd be a strong play. But it does seem like Sharp is gearing up to go for his own drop. We've got the starport already on the way, and yeah, that might be deflected. If Bisu gets the shuttle out right off the bat, he identifies that this is a possibility, he should be fine. But if he's not prepared, this could do a lot of damage. That's a second starport from Sharp. Oh my gosh.
Wow, I'm kind of shocked by that. Double starport is only a build that I've only seen Speed pull off in TVP. This is a build that it's never really been popular in any sense of the word. It's never really been that good, but it can work. It's not like it's impossible to make it work. It's just very, very hard, and that's why I'm surprised to see Sharp even trying it here on the big stage in the finals of KCM. He's going to try and come out with some cloak wraiths, start killing a bunch of probes, and he's also going to try to ambush the shuttle when it comes in with the Reaver. So if you can somehow catch that first Reaver as it's coming in the shuttle and just kill that outright with the wraiths and then fly across the map and kill a bunch of probes, it's an insanely strong counter.
Yeah, he's trying to metagame Bisu. Like, Bisu's thinking, okay, it's probably a fast dropship to try and set up tanks behind my mineral line, but he's not expecting Wraiths, so he might just fly into Wraiths before the speed shuttle is even ready. And that will mean that he's pretty much dead in the water, because then he can't really defend his island expansion anymore, either, if he can't shuttle things around. And the Wraiths are about to intercept the shuttle, and the shuttle will not be able to get away here.
Yeah, the shuttle can't get away. This Wraith dealing a bunch of damage. He's got to keep the moving shot going. Got to keep this moving shot going so he can actually kill this as soon as possible. A Dragoon will be on its way here. He's got to go after that Reaver, but instead he's pulling back. He realizes that probably goons are going to be here in time. Instead, going across the map to go for probes. This cloak upgrade is about to finish, and he's going to go after some probes, but you know what? Bisu has the Observer and Dragoon already placed at the natural. Will he be able to get anything off of this?
Yeah, it's good that he's not lost anything besides the shuttle, but it does really hinder his plans. We'll have to wait and see just how much damage Sharp can do with the Wraith micro going forward. He's waiting to get a total of 5 before he actually goes in to challenge the mineral line. He's just scouting around right now. He's found the Reaver, actually. It's technically undefended for just a few moments. He might actually get the kill on it with the cloak finishing up. There's no observer here as well to punish. That's a nice pickup. Already killing the Reaver before you've gone to try and do any economic damage to Bisu. Bisu hasn't even thrown down the island base yet. He was going to take his third at the island and then didn't because he saw the Wraith play. So already his plans have been heavily disrupted. He's just sniped an observer with a scan as well. Luckily, Bisu is set up to defend against any economic damage from these Wraiths for the time being. I think he's got one more observer nearby that he can keep with his Dragoons. If he gets that one sniped as well, this could escalate.
Whoa, what a sick play there, killing the Reaver. Kind of like falling back immediately and waiting on more Wraiths so that he could snipe that easily. And now he's going to bring this shuttle over, or this dropship over, drop on the high ground behind the mineral patches. He's going to kill so many probes. These are some great hits, killing a lot of these probes. And so many Wraiths here. As long as he's on top of it, it'll be very hard to bring a shuttle over. Luckily for Bisu, he has double robo finishing up, so he should have multiple shuttles coming pretty soon. It's just, can he actually get over here? Can he actually break this? Bisu gonna go around the back and try to hit it. Yeah, he's gonna try to hit it from the back.
He's thinking about it.
If Sharp is on top of that, he can shut down the shuttle so fast. It's gonna be lights out for that shuttle in just a matter of seconds. But if Bisu comes in from an awkward angle and Sharp doesn't see it coming, he could drop on top of everything and wipe it out real quick.
Oh, he's got 3 now. He's just going to dive bomb. He knows that the Wraiths can't kill all 3 at a time. And he's going to lead with a shuttle that's got Dragoons and Zealots in it as well. Pretty nicely done from Bisu. He has an observer nearby. He can bring down just a few tiles also to get vision on those Cloak Wraiths. Does kill another shuttle on the exit, but this is pretty well cleaned up here from Bisu. As long as he avoids taking too many probe losses. Since only 4 Wraiths, though, he can't just one-shot these down. So actually pretty well deflected by Bisu all around. And I wouldn't say he's really far ahead in this game, but he has completely disrupted the game plan of Sharp, who's now going to be floating a command center over to take his own third.
I mean, 3 shuttles is pretty good. That's a lot of minerals. 600 minerals died immediately there. But 2 tanks is a painful loss as well for Sharp. He's discontinued Wraith production. Just going to stay on the 4 for now. Can still be useful, right? You can still use those Wraiths to fly around and just hunt for shuttles. Sometimes the Protoss army doesn't have an observer with it too, and then if you ever scan the Protoss army, see that there's no observer, Cloak, fly in and just kill the shuttles, can actually win you games.
Yeah, it's like we're going up to 6 or 7 factories worth of production as we're taking this third base. This seems okay from Sharp. I would say he's in a pretty good position. I think Bisu's avoided disaster, but Sharp's still ahead in the curve of the game, ever so slightly. Bisu's going to try and catch up, take that island expansion now that the Wraiths have been dealt with for the time being. But yeah, this looks like a pretty good game for Sharp going forward. He's even scanning now at this 3 o'clock position. He's actually got his Wraiths going back in see if he can punish this, but there is going to be a cannon finishing up.
Yeah, it takes so many wraiths to kill a cannon, man. I don't even know how many wraiths that would take. They just deal so much damage.
5 with micro, and you can barely kill it, taking a lot of damage.
Yeah, it's pretty rough to try and take that out, but he's going to jump on top of some High Templar. Oh my goodness, catching High Templar like mutas here. Flying in and sniping this down is insane, and he's going to get the shuttle as well. Doesn't get the Reaver too. Bisu crazy picking up that Reaver and trying to fly away with it. That was wild.
Yeah, he almost drifted with inertia towards those 2 Dragoons and lost some race, but Bisu coming over his own counterattack. 2 shuttles dumping a Reaver, a couple of Zealots and some Dragoons into the main base to try and get some big damage. Good SCV pull though from Sharp. He's denying a lot of this damage. He's actually handling this really well. He's not going to lose too much against this. And after losing those High Templars and another shuttle, and then shutting down this drop as well, this is really painful for Bisu. He's not getting enough compensation with this at all. He's falling further behind the curve of this game set, and he is taking a 5th base to see if he can leapfrog over the economy of the Terran gradually, but right now he's hurting.
Yeah, that was kind of funny to see Bisu killing off the turret so that he could escape with the shuttle, and then the wraiths just flying in. Like that tactic it's so common. I feel like he was doing it automatically, just going after the turret so he could get out, not even realizing that there was going to be an alley-oop play from the wraiths to come in and shut that down. And now it has lost quite a few Reavers. He's not got that big of a standing army either. In fact, Sharp is eclipsing him in supply, and he's on the other side of this army. So now Bisu is relegated to a counterattack. He doesn't have a choice. He can't really hit this army and come back to his side of the map. He's got a counterattack to the 3rd or the natural, and Sharp is actually going to set up a few tanks over here and just push.
I don't know if Bisu's going to be okay dealing with this. He's got some Zealots coming out to meet the Vultures, but Vultures do pretty good against Zealots, and he hasn't killed loads of probes, but he's killed enough to already make this pretty bad for Bisu. And yeah, this army being exposed and just kind of contained at the 9 o'clock, it's not going to do a lot. Oh, okay, he doesn't lose the Reaver at least, so that's something to write home about. But yeah, being shut down mining here is problematic. He's got a few probes at the 12 o'clock, but he's got hardly any probes at the 3 o'clock right now. And I think that we might be seeing an attempt soon from Sharp to drop that base at the 3 o'clock. If he can get like a couple of tanks down there or something, Bisu is going to be in a lot of trouble. He's trying to defend this push that's making its way to this natural 4th base location, and he's about to be hit at that island base at the same time.
Ooh, target fire on this shuttle right now would be insane. Can he actually get it? Oh, he will get it, just barely. There's a DT here, which could be a bit of a problem. Getting on top of those 4 tanks is pretty good. Drop over at center right is absolutely sick. How can Bisu hold on all these different locations at the same time?
He's got a DT drop. Gonna come in and get a snipe on the tank, maybe. Hot pick up there from Sharp to keep that alive. So he's gonna, for the time being, defend this island base, but losing 12 o'clock without an answer for it is really bad. He's killing a few of these tanks, but it's not gonna be enough. He's just not got enough of a standing army to keep Sharp at bay. And one of the features of this map is when you let the Terran cross the bridge like this, there's these tight corridors that you have to chomp through. Makes it really easy for Terran to defend their flanks and gradually push towards these bases. So unless this counter-attacking force here at the 9 o'clock can do a lot of heavy lifting, so far it is turning Sharp around and delaying him also from taking a 4th base. So it's not terrible for Bisu, but it's still pretty bad in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, and now there's going to be a drop potentially coming in and landing on the high ground above the 4th base for Bisu. This is going to be a pretty strong play if Sharp can combine it with a bit of a tactical attack as well. Try to get over towards that fresh base. Oh, he gets the observer. Huge kill there. Now there's nothing to detect. This is a great combination play from Sharp to jump on top of here. But great storm as well, throwing that down to try and save the shuttle, but not able to make it happen. Now the army can come out and actually clean these Dragoons. Bisu is absolutely on the ropes as he runs away from the tanks, slowly sieging up on the position.
Yeah, he sees the bad news that there's a command center already floating over here to that 9 o'clock position. Sharp is going to eclipse Bisu so easily now after cleaning up this force here. I don't know if there's going to be a lot of hope in Bisu winning this game anymore. And he doesn't have a transitional point to go into carriers, that's for sure. He's going to have to stay on Gateway Man style. If he tries to switch to carriers now, he'll just be dead for sure. So he's kind of between a rock and a hard place. He can't really be creative. He just has to try and hope for some good trades and run it down and get good storms on the tank line of Sharp. It is possible that Sharp gets a little bit cocky and like has all his tanks bunched up or something, and Bisu can find some good trades. But I think if Sharp is smart enough, he'll realize that the only way he can lose this game is by, you know, those crazy storms blanketing his army. So I'm sure he'll be a little bit careful about how he positions his tanks going forward.
We'll see. We've seen so many pro Terran players make the same mistake over and over again when trying to close out a game or to initiate a push. Coming across the bridge right now, everything is pretty stacked up. He's not engaging just yet, but Bisu is ready to pull the trigger here. I doubt he wants to allow the Terran army to set up on the other side of this bridge before he goes in. Here we go. He's going to pull the trigger, turning the Zealots around suddenly. He's going to start to send them in. Where are the shuttles? I don't see them. They're actually quite far back here, so he's not fully engaging, just trying to get as much value out of these storms as he can as everything pushes forward. He's killing a lot of the vultures. Is that going to open up enough space for Zealots to be useful?
Yeah, I'm not so sure. He's got a lot of storm available to him, but all the shuttles are dead. Beautiful target fire from the Hellfire missiles of those Goliath. Sharp is in such a fantastic position right now. And he's just bleeding Bisu dry in this game. Finally, there's some more shuttles trying to see if they can get some big bombs off on the back line of these tanks and maybe get some monstrous storms. Those are some pretty okay storms on the vultures. Now, finally, some storms going down onto those tanks as well. But there's not a lot in it for Bisu. He might win this fight, but he's still technically behind in this game. Like, look how far back that tank line goes. It was probably one of the better fights that Bisu could have taken, and he's still not out of the woods yet.
Well, Bisu is taking more island bases. He's probably going to have to end up relying on those as Sharp pushes closer and closer. It's going to be hard for him to keep fighting here on this bridge. But eventually Sharp will run out of money at his third, especially his third, but also his main and natural. The third really doesn't have that much. Okay, another push forward here. He's going to try and dive on top of this. Storm there, pretty good. More storms coming down as well. He's basically alive purely on storm right now, relying on that psionic energy to keep him in this game. Dragoons are starting to go splat, though. He needs to back up here before trying to take on this tank line reinforced with some more zealots, but his Dragoon count just went through the floor. Sharp is pushing forward.
Yeah, these are some pretty good trades from Bisu. It's just that Sharp is so far ahead that, like, a good trade is no longer great enough to carry you in the game. Like, Sharp is still gaining ground, and now he's got four bases temporarily. He's starting to become mined out now on his main and natural. That'll be a good point now for Bisu. If he can just hang on another few minutes, eventually also that third base will be mined out, and then it's back to a one base economy for the Terran. They're coming in here at the island base with just one single siege tank. Luckily, there's a few units here for Bisu that deal with this, but there also is going to be a trigger timing for Sharp to gain more ground towards the natural third location, which is actually mined out already, so it's not terrible for Bisu to concede that. He just really doesn't want to be cut off from defending this 12 o'clock base. It's going to be some time until the Terran's on only one base of mining. He's got a few more minutes of that third base before it becomes mined out. He needs to stand strong right now. Maybe he has a chance at coming back in this game if he can just hold the line.
Time is running out here for Sharp. He needs to get some ground going here. He needs to start breaking these bases because the islands are coming online, and Sharp has not secured even one of those for himself. He might be looking towards top left. In fact, I see ACC moving in that direction, but if we go to full-on island play, it's going to be hard to keep up with Bisu. Now, he does have double starport with add-ons, so he can make a lot of drops. He's kind of prepared for it to go into that late game scenario, but he'd much rather kind of put the kibosh on Bisu now, try to shut him down, killing off these bases and getting rid of these probes before it comes to that.
Yeah, Bisu's already playing ahead of schedule. He's got 3 shuttles towards the top left, anticipating the option of taking this base. So he's dropped a Zealot there to stop CC from just being able to float there and make SEVs. So he has a win condition. He's now going to keep sharp on 1 base worth of mining and now go for storm drops on the train of SEVs as well. This is not a bad gambit play from Bisu at all, but he still needs to defend the follow-up push that's going to be coming out of Sharp. So even though Sharp has hardly any economy, it doesn't matter. He's got a very large standing army, and now the supplies really do reflect how far ahead Sharp is. He's just lost a bunch of SEVs and he's still like 30 or 40 supply ahead of Bisu. Bisu going to be losing this base at the 12 o'clock for sure, but he can maybe trade well enough. Oh, it's a beautiful D matrix though, denying a lot of value to Bisu. Bisu's in a bit of panic now because yes, he's got a good long game plan with all these island bases mining, but he needs to kill all of this army of Sharp to make that count for anything, and I just don't see that happening right now.
It's time to retreat to the high ground. Bisu gonna have his final stand there on the high ground at the natural. He needs to deal with these drops at the same time and keep preventing Sharp from taking the space at the top left. He has to buy time here because Sharp is starting to run dry little by little. There's just not quite enough here at this natural. Not enough cannons to slow things down, and not enough units popping out right now to shut down this army that's pushing forward. It is hard to push up into this natural, but don't forget, both of the robotics are here, so if those get shut down, hard to make any more shuttles to start ferrying units around this map.
He actually got 7 shuttles right now. He just needs units to load into them. He's going to use 2 to go and deflect the drop at the 6 o'clock and hopefully get a good dive bomb onto these tanks in the back line here. Those are some pretty okay storms, but energy in these science vessels, and another big drop here from Sharp in the center. So even though Bisu going to be cleaning up the 6 o'clock base, the center island base will probably go down. So Sharp is hitting 2 locations at the same time and doing a lot of damage, as well as containing the rally point of Bisu. This is not a tenable position for Bisu at all. He's now losing his eco advantage, as well as still being behind the curve of the game in terms of his ground army. He is going to actually clean up this in the center, just barely. 1 single Dragoon might still go down to the Vulture and Goliath if that mine connects. Okay, and then even more reinforcements showing up for both players, but this is a lot more reinforcements here from Sharp. As long as he splits up these units a little bit, he's gonna definitely kill this center island.
Yeah, he's getting fully into dropship mode now and just cranking them out like crazy, kind of matching what Bisu can bring to the table in regards to drops. The D matrices are so sick in situations like this. When you're in like really low numbers, doing things like dropping on islands, 1 D matrix can make the difference and have you allow you to hold a position that you otherwise wouldn't have been able to, and that's all you need to do. GG is called. Bisu taps out, and Sharp moves forward once again, taking down another strong contender for the Protoss squad. Well, we were talking about at the beginning how it might all be on Best's shoulders, but it might actually come to pass. We got Best here in the bottom left, truly facing the entirety of the Terran lineup. Let's see if he's got it on today. See if he's in beast mode or not, because he's going to need it
in the back pocket. Yeah, he still has Mini in the back pocket, and Mini, very strong online tournament player, and they have a revive. So, you know, technically got 3 lives remaining to try and do the heavy lifting, but they haven't even gone through Sharp yet, and you still got Royal waiting in the wings, and also Barracks and Speed to rotate in if needed as well. This is looking very Terran-sided, but maybe Best can turn things around. It's very possible that Best goes on a bit of a rampage here and gets at least a couple of wins on the board.
This is a very important game right now. If Best goes down to Sharp, and the hopes of Protoss absolutely plummet. It's already not looking good, but if Best, like, if Sharp is really on fire, if it's not just that, you know, he was able to take down Bisu and Stork, if he's really playing like out of his mind today and takes down Best too, Man, it's going to be looking bad. Protoss has had such a good season of KCM. They've done incredibly well. A lot of that off the back of Mini and Best, but it all comes down to this is the finals, guys. Gotta put your hearts on the line here and play absolutely out of your mind, or it's going to be over very quickly.
Yeah, and a quick 11 gas here from Sharp, maybe anticipating a possible Nexus first. He's going to be a little bit disheartened when he realizes it's cross map, because cross map 11 gas is not really going to do you much good. You're kind of turning the rush distance into a close spawn, because even though the vultures are popping out 5 seconds quicker, you've got another 5 or so seconds to actually get to your opponent's base. And Best is doing a very middle of the road build with that 1 gate core. Before taking his expansion. We'll see how he wants to optimize that, like if it's going to be a rangeless expand or 23 Nexus or something. We'll have to wait and see exactly when he wants to take that. There's lots of ways you can go about it as Protoss, and he's going to see that it's cross map, and he sees the timing of the factory, so he knows what he's up against. He's going to be a little bit happy that not only is it an 11 gas, but it's cross map 11 gas, so Best already feeling comfortable in this game probably.
That was a crazy quick factory from Sharp. 222, crazy fast. This guy is super optimized right now, and we'll see if he wants to go for another machine shop. I imagine we're going to see a vulture coming out here, try to get some punishment going, but Sharp has shown himself to be pretty versatile when it comes to this matchup.
Yeah, as soon as Best sees that it's cross map, he's going rangeless expand. Like, he's taking this Nexus at 17 supply. He's super optimized for his eco right now. He's going to start producing a Dragoon. So he's gone without making a unit for such a long time. But the Dragoon will still be out to deflect the initial Vulture. Range will be heavily delayed. This probe going to just make sure that he sees the timing of when this Vulture comes out. And even delays it slightly by forcing it to stand still and shoot. That gives an extra couple of seconds here for Best to defend this. Ooh, might get an SCV in, but luckily there's a probe here to block on the ramp if he does try and commit. And a very quick starport again from Sharp, going straight into that air tech ability. This is probably not going to be a double starport this time around. Probably going to be going for a dropship style play right off the bat.
Yeah, for sure. I think we're going to see just non-stop vultures. He's seen the number of dragoons. There's only 1 dragoon out right now. It's not pressure coming his way. So he's going to skip the bunker, get the CC down, go directly into mines, or possibly speed. Sharp is one of those guys who really does favor speed first when it comes to punishing these greedy Protoss players. So he may go speed, try to run by and do a drop at the same time, and tear Best in both different directions. It's a great map to do it on because there's so much space in the main base to actually drop here.
Yeah, these massive boot-shaped main base are really ideal for doing something like a vulture drop. And that's exactly what we're going to be seeing here from Sharp. We'll have to wait and see if it's going to be mines or speed first. You don't really know with Sharp. He's, like you say, oh, it's going to be mines first. Okay. So that's not bad either. Like, you can lay down mines to intercept the Dragoons as they come and defend in the main base. There's a lot of value in going for mines rather than speed. And he also gets good scouting by mining up this third base before he goes in for that drop play. But I mean, Best is no noob when it comes to deflecting drops. Like, I won't be surprised if we see, yeah, he's making a pylon right on the periphery of his base already to spot that. And I imagine we'll be seeing him put a Dragoon or 2 at least in his main base at around about the 6-minute mark for when that drop timing is going to be coming. This is a really nicely timed dropship from Sharp, so unless Best can sniff this out now, this still might do a lot of damage. Like, he's expecting this potentially coming in around about 6 minutes, 5 or 10. And it's actually quite ahead of schedule. It's going to be hitting the base just at the 6-minute mark flat, which is really crisply timed, and Best is not anticipating it.
Yeah, he's not ready for this, and Best also has a very big gap in the front of his wall. He's got like 5 Dragoons trying to block that, and so as soon as he moves the Dragoons back in the base, he leaves a wide open hole. Sharp's just going to come running in here with even more vultures, laying down mines at the natural and getting some kills here on the probes at the natural. So much damage here from Sharp to start off. He's not controlling perfectly here, but he's hitting on multiple flanks and killing a lot of probes.
Yeah, I feel like he could have killed like 1 or 2 more probes in the natural before the Dragoons came to clear it up, but he's killed maybe 10 or so probes. It's kind of insane. Definitely getting good compensation for that drop. There's actually like 3 SCVs on a miss rally down here. I don't even know how that happened. He must have like rallied his CC to send out 1 single SCV and forgot to reset it or something. That's kind of interesting. I've not seen that happen in a long time.
Yeah, that was a little bit surprising, but you know, so much going on here. Sharp was controlling absolutely out of his mind, multitasking out of his mind there. Some things are bound to go wrong. We often see, you know, drones going across the map. That's a little bit different, but you know, it is what it is when you're playing at this high of a level and this quickly. 350 APM from Sharp right now. Things are bound to go wrong, and I don't think that's too big of a mountain to recover from, or too big of a deficit to recover from. Just a bit of loss of mining time, and he's done a lot of probe damage.
Yeah, already Sharp's in a fantastic position. He just needs to not take too much damage now to this counter pressure from Best. He's got a shuttle and a bunch of Dragoons outside the natural. Only 1 single siege tank for the time being. Luckily, the mine's going to be holding onto things for that second tank to finish up. And there's actually another dropship going around the edge of the map here. Kind of insane, because Best is going to elevator here in the southern threshold of the main base of Sharp. And Sharp's just now spotted this, but he hasn't got a lot of units to defend this. Like, it's actually going to be hard for him to deflect the elevator, even though that he knows about it, especially because he's going for a continuation drop. This could do a lot of damage, though. He's going to siege tank the mineral line in the natural, as well as having a vulture laying down some mines here. It's going to be really tough for Best to task switch on 2 fronts to make sure he's controlling this elevator, as well as deflecting this tank and 2 vulture play that's actually shutting down mining in the natural completely.
Best is unelevatoring right now. He's going back. He's going back down to low ground. I thought he was actually going to push in here, but maybe he goes for the natural now. Like, Sharp is definitely reacting to that, and he's trying to do this drop at the same time. No, everything's going back home. Okay,
that's crazy.
This drop that came in right as Best was elevatoring actually shut down everything. This drop actually might win Sharp the game, because like Best needs so much concentration to macro and elevator up into that main base and control. He cannot deal with the drop at the same time. It's just too much.
Yeah, this is rough, man. Like, he had a chance of maybe getting in there with that elevator and being super annoying to Sharp, and completely taken off guard by the continuation from Sharp. He's even going to get out with that shuttle and units unscathed. This is really great tactical play here from Sharp. He's being super annoying to Best and has slowed down the economy in a big way. So now Sharp is definitely pretty far ahead. He'll have to eventually remake that starport when he wants to get +2 weapons upgrades, but he's okay with just staying on 1-1 for a long time. He just needs to make a lot of factories and, you know, focus on his army and economy, and kind of let his tech slip through his fingers just for a while, and make sure he's got enough meat on the bone for Best to have to chew through, because Best isn't going to have that really powerful mid-game macro that he would usually have. It's going to be really hard for him to churn out the units necessary to shut down Sharp from taking his third. He might still make a gambit out of it. Hasn't got his leg enhancements just yet on these zealots, which he kind of needs before he can go for something like a bulldog on this third attempt here from Sharp. So maybe Sharp can still get away with taking this base.
Yeah, we've seen Best crack open so many Terran players. I half expect him to come in here and just smash right through the defenses of Sharp, but he has taken a lot of damage. He lost a lot of probes.
Yeah,
it was slowed down in the natural for mining time for quite some time. Like, he really had to pull those back for a long time to keep them alive, and eventually managed to shut that down. But Sharp did all that damage with drops and even managed to escape with the tank. So his tank count is as high as can be. He's going up to this high ground. I think Best has identified that it's just not going to be possible here to bust. He needs to let Sharp take this third and look to shut down the fourth when it finally comes online.
Yeah, and Sharp is scaling really well. Just going to power up into 7 factory as soon as this third is online. It's exactly what you should be doing in the modern meta. It is going to be tough for the Terran to take a 4th base, so Best might be thinking about the long game here. Like, okay, maybe I can't crack you open, but maybe I can just deny you ever taking a 4th and waiting for your main and natural to become mined out. He's actually going to rotate around and see if he can find an opening on the left-hand side of that 3rd, but thinks better of it. Good scans as well from Sharp to identify the unit composition of Best and the army movements. Like, he sees that he's backing away, so he can, in a moment's notice, quickly rotate over units if he needs to. He kind of has to split his forces temporarily because he doesn't know where Best is going to be hitting him, so continuously scanning the Protoss army is an absolute must in situations like this.
Yeah, he's just keeping an eye on him. The army's not looking too big right now. Sharp's nearly caught up in supply, and that's going to explode here with the 3rd base income starting to pour in and all these factories finishing up. Sharp is going to have a formidable army soon to try and take that 4th base. A lot of players on this map opt to take the middle as the Terran player, and I don't think Sharp will be any different here. Meanwhile, Best stretching out towards that bottom right. Looks like he loses the probe, though. One Vulture down there denying that. Pretty annoying for Best right now, because any slowdown is just adding to the advantage of Sharp.
Yeah, ever since we had Retro, the map Retro, like, players have identified that sometimes taking the 4th is just too hard for Terran, unless you want to do a split map. If you want to have any offensive options open to you, you kind of have to take the middle. All these Reavers a little bit dead in the water here. Manages to avoid losing them, but one of them now on red HP. That's going to maybe trigger Sharp to slowly creep out a little bit. He doesn't want to go too much further than this for the time being. He will just get bowled over by Best if he overextends himself before he hits like the 180 supply threshold. He's almost at that now. Just needs maybe one more round of units before he can start pushing more towards the center. He's actually going to kill this observer, which is nice. Needs to be super careful not to overstay his welcome in the center of the map for the time being. He just needs like 1 or 2 more rounds of units, and then he can start to push. Best, meanwhile, getting a very late 4th base at 13 minutes 30. He has a very powerful army. There's a lot of Zealots waiting back at home, and he's got just maybe 1 control group or a few more than that in Dragoons, and another drop coming in from Sharp into the main base. There were 2 Dragoons to try and deflect that, but they were a little bit out of position. You might still be able to get on top of the siege tank and shut it down, though.
5-kill siege tank. I didn't see how many it had before that shot, but I think it got at least 2 or 3 probe kills. Not going to be the biggest deal in this game anymore. Like, the earlier drops were so much more impactful than this that really doesn't seem like much. However, you know, every little bit counts, especially when you already have an advantage. Doing a little bit more damage to your opponent when they've already been hurt, kicking them while they're down, makes a big difference. It really does hurt just that much more when they've already been damage in their economy. And Bass is struggling to get this 4th base online, trying to get some probes down here, albeit very, very late. And Sharp is already moving towards this 4th base here in the middle of the map, and it looks like that is indeed the target.
Yeah, it's a very scary army here from Sharp, but it is only going to be on 1-1 upgrades. Like, he still hasn't made that starport to get online with the science facility, so the one thing going for Best is that he will scale well the longer the game goes on, but this rally point in the bottom right is super late. He's starting to challenge the center now, but I'm not sure if he's going to be successful at breaking through this amount of tanks that Sharp has been able to muster, although we say that so many times and Best still does it. That's a beautiful mine connection. That did damage like 8 or so units, at least in Splash. Best going to be thinking better of attacking right now after he's just taken a massive chunk of health damage off of those units that he needs to soak up the maximum amount of shots to actually get into good firing positions with his Dragoons and High Templars into range to storm. Right now, Sharp is definitely in a massive tempo lead. Not only is he going to get this 4th base online in the center, but he might be successful at slowly creeping his way down to this bottom right rally point that's being established. It's so late that I'm not so sure Best is going to have an easy time clearing this attack up.
Yeah, this attack looks so difficult to run into. Like, he's slowly spreading out all through the middle. There's tanks absolutely everywhere. They're spread so far back, and there's mines all over the middle of the map as well. This is a nightmare to try and attack into. Best, he's one of the the great Protoss players of our time, one of the best army controllers when it comes to Protoss ever. Really, probably the best person when it comes to big late game army control, but even he is going to have a hard time running through all of this minefield and all these spread tanks. It's going to be very hard to pick an angle and commit, because Sharp is absolutely everywhere, spread so far and wide that there doesn't really seem to be any good location to attack into.
Yeah, he's got a DT that are going to try and mop up this counter-attacking force that just killed his Nexus in the bottom right natural. Good scan there from Sharp to deflect that. There is a chance that Best can make this work. It's just going to be so tough. Like, he's going to have to concede the center of the board and let Sharp take that and try and play keep away. Like, he's going to maybe look for a counter-attack towards this 12 o'clock position, or at least turn around Sharp. If he can make Sharp reposition over and over again, that might buy him time to establish himself. He's trying to take the 9 o'clock as well now as his 5th, since the bottom right natural. It's going to be too hard to secure. Sharp's doing a good job of being fluid with some of his army, though, to push this army back. He's going to have to keep cycling up more and more tanks here, because Best can actually fight this small contingency and win. A little bit of an oversight there from Sharp not to send more tanks to this northern hemisphere. And Best is being very tentative, just picking off a few tanks and then backing away so we can go back to resecuring this 9 o'clock base. The rally point in the bottom right will be quite hard for Sharp to break, because he'll need to muster a lot of his forces to do so. He's finally got the Science Facility online, so we can get that +2 weapons. Right now, the upgrades for Best are also +2, so he's technically ahead of the upgrade curve in this game, but that won't last forever. Sharp is going to slowly catch up in that the longer the game goes on, but there will be a bit of a window where Best has an upgrade advantage. He has 2-1 right now to the 1-1. But right now, positionally, Sharp is looking fantastic, and he's also forcing Best to trickle down this ramp a few units at a time while they're getting shot at by the artillery of those siege tanks. And this is not looking that hot for Best. He's looking like he's struggling in this game, because he needs to keep this 9 o'clock alive, and he's traded off a lot of units without killing hardly anything.
This is looking like Sharp's game to lose as he closes in on the natural here. The rally point in bottom right has been set up, and so Best will trickle units from those gateways over towards center right to just try to deny that base. But this pressure at the natural is brutal. He's losing High Templars here. Dragoons are falling as well right as they're coming out. Fresh Dragoons from the gateways are being plastered by these siege tanks here at the natural, and slowly but surely Sharp is creeping in. We haven't seen those extra upgrades come online just yet, but Sharp has a big bank and he's remaxing very quickly. Here's a great storm on a lot of tanks. A little bit of a mistake here from Sharp, letting his stuff stack up a little bit too much, and there's not a lot of vultures with this now. More storms are going to come out, and Zealots are going to dive on top of this. Can he start to break this push? Can he start to shove it back? No, he's turned around as Sharp brings more reinforcements up. The writing is on the wall here. Best struggling against this containment.
Yeah, I don't think there's much of an answer to this, which is crazy, because that means there's going to be 3 players already eliminated right off the bat. This is going to be a very one-sided finals, with Royal still waiting in the wings unless Mini can create some miracle plays, or maybe Best can get revived and do a lot better in the follow-up games. This is not looking good, though. Best trying to come around the back with some of those forces that were stationed at the 9 o'clock base, but he's already getting hit in 2 locations at once. Good storm on those 2 tanks that are hitting his mineral line, but he needs 1 more to finish them off. He's going to lose a lot of probes if he doesn't have enough energy to storm them yet again. So a lot of problems now for Best. He's 50 supply, maybe 60 supply behind now. This is going to be a tap out moment for him. There's no way of recovering this position. GG is called, and it's now on Mini to somehow beat an entire squad of Terran players. That's a big ask.
Wow, I completely discounted the possibility of Sharp carrying in this week of KCM, the finals here. I know he's capable of it. We've seen him pop off before in the KCM, but I'm just so focused on Royal right now, and his bright and shining star, his rise has been so incredible. I almost forgot about Sharp, and look, he's letting us know, man. He's letting us know not to forget about this guy.
Well, we were talking a little bit before about how maybe Royal suddenly playing like a machine will stop the other Terrans making excuses and make them redouble their efforts as well. He's kind of showing them the way that it is possible to dominate as Terran. You just have to put the work in and get the right mindset. Maybe a lot of these other Terran players are going to start playing like absolute beasts after seeing that it's possible. We've seen that happen a lot in the history of man, where like a world record doesn't get broken for the longest time, and as soon as one guy breaks the world record, suddenly multiple athletes follow in their footsteps and also start breaking that previous record. And we could see a little bit of a repeat of that, as Royal might be giving a lot of hope to Terrans. But this is really annoying from Mini. This probe scout super early and denying a barracks being planted from Sharp. Oh my gosh, look at how delayed that barracks is, and he's denied a lot of mining time by forcing SCVs off to respond.
Yeah, that was brutal. Mini here bringing this SCV low as well. Is he actually going to get this?
Oh my
5
gosh.
HP. Okay, the repair comes through just in the nick of time. But the gas is late, and Sharp's build has been wildly thrown off by this little bit of harassment from the early probe.
Yeah, both the barracks is late and the gas is late, which means the factory's going to be late. So yeah, everything is off here from Sharp. He almost would have been better off going for CC first, but he just didn't want to do that against someone like Mini. And yeah, maybe rightfully so. I don't know, like this is already a pretty big advantage for Mini going forward. Like he can just play normally from this point onwards. He could go for a greedy rangeless expand, knowing that the timings of Sharp are going to be so slow that a good strong FD push is just probably not going to happen anymore. And yeah, like the world is Mini's oyster from this point onwards.
Yeah, he's going to send a Zealot across the map. Probably won't get any damage. Just a full wall here. But look at that, 250? Did I just see 2 minute 53, something like that? 54 factory?
It's really slow.
Guys, it was 2 minutes 22 last game. That is ridiculous. Mini has already done work here.
Yeah, a normal 12 gas is 229, so the fact that it's like 20 seconds delayed is pretty insane. It's like a whole unit cycle gone. Like he's a whole vulture behind the scale of the game. And Mini will put a little bit of pressure on with some Zealots. I don't think he'll get a lot done because there's a full wall in. But it doesn't matter. No matter what happens, even if he does play like a super standard game, like he's going into range, he's not going into a rangeless expand, it really doesn't matter. Like even if Mini just plays completely as he would anyway, he's still going to be ahead of the curve. And he's going to be forcing Sharp to have to make the CC in his main base. Like he's already getting more and more advantages.
Gonna come up here, start to just hit this wall a little bit, kind of force Sharp to react. If he doesn't want to take too much damage here, he's gonna have to pull some SCVs and try to come out and fight. Oh, he can't attack here. Having a hard time getting these Marines to hit the Dragoon. That's pretty frustrating as well. So this is just adding more annoyances here, insult to injury. For Sharp, who's just, I mean, struggling to get anything out to try and deal with this, and might even end up losing an SCV. This SCV is super low, and he loses it as well. That was an SCV that was hurt earlier by the probe, no doubt. And so it gets taken down pretty quickly there. And I mean, the supply depots are getting hurt. Sharp's got to react, man. He hasn't built a vulture. He's trying to get that tank out. He will have it out here soon. But dude, the damage is just stacking up. Mini getting so much work done here in the early game.
Yeah, a little bit missed targeting there. He had opportunity to kill another SCV, but he targeted the wrong SCV. That was a low HP one that didn't get killed. So Sharp managed to get away with not losing an additional SCV at least, but it's not over yet. Mini being super annoying. This is like the old school days of Terran versus Protoss. It used to be like a 10-12 gate into goon pressure against the wall like this, but Mini's doing this off just one single gateway because of how delayed Sharp has been in the early game. He's going to get another SCV kill before pulling back, and the other SCV just on 10 HP. Shame he couldn't pick that one up as well. The Nexus is super late for Mini. This is looking like a very old school PvT because he's gone for a one base robo play. It's exactly the kind of thing you would see back in the day of StarCraft. We haven't seen this in a very long time, but Mini's identified that he's so far ahead he can kind of go back to this old school way of thinking and try and box Sharp in. Just as Sharp's going to be moving out to establish his natural in a minute or two, suddenly there's going to be a shuttle flying in with a Reaver.
Yeah, this map is funny in that way that it brings a lot of these matchups back to the Stone Age. Like TVZ, especially, is kind of receding back into the past, where we have like so many one-base Terran plays versus two-base Zerg plays that end up happening, and we haven't really seen that kind of recession in TVP, but this is definitely one of those games where it's looking like, you know, very early 2000s style of TVP, and Mini is flourishing here with this type of aggressive style.
Yeah, this is like back when Python was the main map everyone was playing. It's a very long time ago that we saw plays like this. And it's going to work because of how far ahead Mini is. But let's see, there is a floating engineering bay that can maybe spot the shuttle coming in. That might give him a good response time to this pressure. Mini's going to poke into the natural to try and maybe distract Sharp temporarily and make him think that's where the threat is going to be. He could also go for a Bulldog. Bulldog is very common in situations like this. Like, he can dive onto this tank in the back line utilizing this shuttle and kind of like subvert expectations. Like, Sharp was ready to respond to the drop in his main, but the real threat now coming into his natural. Does get a few shots off on that Reaver. It's really low, but Mini killing quite a few tanks in the process.
Repair on this tank in the back line. Can he actually keep it alive? These Dragoons should be doing more damage. They actually do. He was trying to glitch out the Dragoons there with his SCVs to stop them from firing, but Mini barely got enough damage to keep that going. The Bulldog is working so far. Mini still has the Reaver alive here. Will Sharp be able to target that down? Nice shot there from the Reaver. He gets another kill, and now it's wide open here in the natural. So many SCVs are going to start to fall.
Yeah, this is really problematic for Sharp, and it's not really his fault. Like, he had to be ready for the Reaver coming into the main base, but you know, Mini's played this game long enough. He knows that if the Terran is overcommitted to defending their main, that means their natural is really exposed. And yeah, he's going to get a lot of value shutting down mining in this base. Sharp in a lot of trouble. Like, Mini stayed on one base for ages, and now is going to be double expanding behind this as well. It's 64 supplied to 40, and he's killing another tank. This is insane damage. Like, a lot of players on the ladder would just be GGing out of the game. Obviously, Sharp's going to try and play it out because it's a tournament final situation, but he's in a world of hurt, man. He is so far behind this game. 11 kills on this Reaver, and he's not even mining in his natural for the time being.
Yeah, I can't mine in this natural. He will try to come down here, but this Reaver is sick. It's got so many kills on it, and it's still holding down this natural and preventing Sharp from mining here. I really like the setup from Sharp. When this attack was coming in, like, he had the tank so far back. One of the tanks was behind the mineral line in his natural. He was being so defensive because he knew what kind of pressure he was about to be under. It's just that Mini, with the good control there, manages to break through and put himself into a situation. It's almost unlosable position for our Protoss player.
Yeah, I mean, he could throw the game, but this is Mini we're talking about. He's one of the best online tournament players in the Protoss squad ever. Like, he's really sick. He's not got the same kind of macro as someone like Best, but he's a really good optimizer. He's great in these off-the-road situations. And yeah, I mean, a good response here from Sharp. He's getting repair on the turret, but that will go down to the third Scarab connection. Does also take out that Goliath. Mini's going to rotate round to the bottom right pocket here of this mineral line. Second siege tank shutting out a possibility of landing that Reaver and doing critical damage, though. And the Goliath actually might kill the shuttle before anything happens. So yeah, pretty good defense from Sharp. I mean, he's still in a bad position, but this is about as good as it gets for how bad his position is, believe it or not. Like, this couldn't have gone much better for him. Despite being so far behind, he has managed to deflect the most high end of the range of Mini Spectrum in this game. So it's playable here from Sharp, but he's got a long way to go to even think about a win condition.
It's funny, that Reaver lived so long that now he's got another Reaver here immediately. Oh my god. Okay, that does not hit. One Reaver shot does land here on the tanks. Good pulling away from Sharp there to keep the majority of these tanks alive to make it take 3 hits to kill a tank. If you're running away, if you're heading the opposite direction that the Scarab is coming in from, then you can mitigate some of that damage. 11 kill Reaver out here in the front. Okay, 11 kill Reaver sitting here for Mini. He's just going to camp out in front for the time being, it looks like, and continue to expand while Sharp licks his wounds and looks to the future. It's going to be a while before he can push.
Yeah, he's going to rotate around to the natural expansion with these Reavers. Maybe get a bunch more SCV kills. Good pull, though, from Sharp, avoiding total disaster, but he's still taking losses. There might be a timing for Sharp eventually to start moving out with like 9 or so tanks, but it doesn't feel good. Like, you still got the Reaver slowing you down. A lot of gateways coming online for Mini as well. That's going to match the production that Sharp has right now. So even though Sharp is going out for this move out timing, it probably won't be super successful. Mini is gearing up to bomb on top of those tanks with some speed shuttles and zealots as well. Just waiting for Sharp to be a little bit out of position. Then he's going to go for it. Tanks have not got that many supporting. Vultures just does lose both of the Reavers really quickly, but he's got another one to scoop up nearby. Those are some pretty monstrous connections on these tanks. These tanks are completely out of the water right now and getting just like taken down in such a quick succession that he's falling further and further behind. He's gonna tap out. GG is caught, and finally some blood has been spilt on the Terran side of the squad. Mini fighting back strong. He needs to maintain momentum now and do a lot of heavy lifting for his team.
Mini starts the turnaround, and Terran sends out Royal immediately to attempt to slap that down. Now, guys, there is a revive available on either side. If you haven't been with us in the KCM for very long, if you haven't seen a semifinals or finals before, it's 4-on-4. You've only got 1 life each and 1 revive per squad, so they can bring any one of these players back to try and give them one last chance to defeat their opponents and take home the final prize here at the KCM. So, you know, possibility to bring back Sharp later if they really feel like he's overperforming today. They may end up doing that, but Royal's definitely on that list too. Royal is crazy sick. He's been playing super good lately, and we're gonna see some fireworks here in this game versus Mini.
Yeah, despite Sharp doing so well today, I will not be surprised that even if Mini somehow does beat Royal, I won't be surprised if they just revive Royal. Like, he's been playing like such a beast lately. And yeah, unless he looks completely outmatched against Mini, I think he is going to be the target of that revive. I like the choice from the Terran squad as well. Like, you don't want to give Mini too much confidence. He's one of those sort of emotional feel-good players. If he's on a high, he's playing amazing. And if you feed him too many wins, he actually might be able to be a good match for Royal after he's so warmed up. So I think quickly sending out Royal after Sharp's been taken down is the play.
Yeah, I want to try and shut down Mini, and I wonder if they'll actually revive Mini if he goes down to give him another shot at Royal, because Best waiting in the wings, like, maybe you can chop up that win from Sharp against Best as, like, you know, maybe Best just made a mistake. You know, he didn't expect the drop coming in that fast, and he lost a lot of probes. He is just so sick in this matchup. It's hard to imagine that you would bring back anyone besides Best, even if Mini is just killing it.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, the drop was crazy. Like, it came in at like 6 minutes flat, cross map. That is so hard to optimize out. You really got to take your hat off to Sharp for actually smoothing out the curve of his build to go for that. Like, 6 minutes close spawn is hard to do, let alone 6 minutes cross map. So big respect to Sharp being really on top of his builds. And yeah, I feel like if it was just a few seconds later, the True Dragoons popping out of the gateway maybe shut that down a little bit easier, and Best doesn't take as much damage, and the game looks totally different. Maybe there's a lot of consideration for that. In this game though, Mini, gateway on the low ground, so he can get in here with his zealots and still do something despite being cross map. It is Radiant cross map, so 38-second rush distance does take a long time to come in here. So Royal should still shut this down.
Yeah, we're really going to hold on for now, for sure. But this little pressure is not over. Mini super well known for his 3-part combo Zealot, Probe, Dragoon. That's the Special Forces army that takes out so many Terran players, puts on so much pressure in the early game.
Yeah, I mean, he does kill the probe, but the Zealot now on top of the Marines. Luckily, the Vulture's just popping out, so seems like this will go pretty Royal-sided. He has taken quite a lot of HP damage on 2 of those Marines. He might want to throw down the bunker now to be safe, because sometimes you can hold off the Dragoon with 3 Marine, 1 Vulture, but taking that much damage, you kind of might be tempted to throw down the bunker right away. He's actually not. So this Dragoon could do a lot of heavy lifting if it just runs it down towards a natural expansion right now. He's going to one-shot 2 of those Marines.
Yeah. Oh, hidden starport over in top right. That's pretty sick. 3 Marines here are going to have a hard time handling this. I'm surprised he didn't decide to just make that bunker. But he's going to try to come in from behind, try to shave off the shields with the Vulture, and then go to work with the Marines. But there's another Marine down, and man, Mini getting a lot of value out of this play. I thought that he wasn't going to get much going because he delayed this Dragoon by such a long time, but he's actually getting a lot of damage now, and this is starting to get a little bit hard for Royal. Now, he does have the second Vulture pop out and is able to jump on top of this, but he loses one of the Vultures already. 1 Vulture down, and he's not in any better of a spot than he was just a minute ago. After killing that Dragoon, he's still having a hard time holding on against the second Dragoon.
Yeah, he didn't want to make the bunker because he wanted to go for this starport no matter what. So it has put him into a bit of an awkward position. It looks like he might still be able to bully back this Dragoon, but he might lose another Vulture in the process with this 3rd Dragoon showing up. Going to be killing another Vulture. That takes the wind out of Royal's sails now. This drop play not going to be as successful as it should have been. Maybe he can still get a lot of damage with it. I doubt Mini's expecting it. He might be a little bit suspicious that there wasn't a bunker being thrown down. He could read into that as just Royal being super cocky because it's cross-map Radiant, but he might be able to put the puzzle pieces together like, hang on a minute, you didn't make a bunker for that long, what else have you got? And he might be able to figure out, hang on a minute, this could be a drop timing.
Yeah, Rose being really adamant and trying to push Mini away from his natural so he could get out on the map here and make this drop happen. He's finally managed to sneak out here, but he's lost so many Vultures that it's really slowed this down. It's not allowing him to get enough Vultures so that he can like multi-prong attack the natural and the main at the same time or anything like that. Dragoons are in position at the right time as well. Mini here at 6 minutes. He's ready for a drop to come in. 3 Dragoons shuts this down almost instantly. Royal could be headed for disaster. Flying in, turns around. Oh, barely lives with that dropship. But getting no damage is pretty brutal. Great shutdown from Mini.
I think Mini figured it out after not seeing the bunker. He also made a pylon in the choke point between his natural and 3rd to just get some scouting information on like possible run-bys on the ground and push timings. I really like this from Mini. Like, he was like pretty sure that there was some shenanigans going on, but he hedged his bets with a pylon out in front to do some scouting for him as well. And yeah, he's deflected the play, and now he's going to see if he can intercept the starport. Like, look how sussed out this game is from Mini. Like, he knows that this was a proxy starport play, and he's got his Dragoons already hunting down that starport to make it just that little bit harder for Royal in the future of the game to maybe eventually go into, you know, a fast +2 weapons or something.
Yeah, this is high level play from Mini. He's definitely on one today, and Royal's going to be having a hard time. This is technically his worst matchup, although we've seen him overperforming lately in all matchups. Royal, it seems like he's having a hard time versus Mini, who is again such a beast in these online tournaments and has been performing super well in Pro League as of late, I might add. Catching this starport and gonna start to make it burn here in a moment. Eventually that will burn down and will have to be replaced before Royal can get a science facility underway.
Yeah, it's on 300 HP. I mean, if he floats it, if sends an SCV and floats it to the side, maybe there's a way of saving it. But a Vulture drop coming in first to the 3rd base, and then the rest of the Vultures going into the main base. Mini is in position to deal with this, though. He's not being caught unawares like Best did. Doing a good job of shutting down. I think he's going to kill like 1 or 2 probes only. And that's not good compensation from this big of committal from Royal at all. He has been overperforming lately, but Mini is shutting him down in this game at least. We saw Royal absolutely walk over Bisu in 2 games in a row, like a couple of nights ago in the Pro League, and he has been playing like an absolute machine, but this time around Mini is definitely getting the better of him.
Mini carrying his team and pushing his advantage forward. He's still got a lot of work to do, even if he makes it through Royal, but this is one giant hurdle that he's just about to overcome. As long as he can keep playing at this high level, Royal's going to have a hard time recovering here. Will be throwing down, looks like a third base coming up from Royal. He's going to start to float that out soon. Managed to recover the starport, so that's something going in his favor. At least he gets the starport back. Can like lock down these 3 bases here on Radeon, maybe get into, you know, +2/1 timing attack and try to make something happen versus Mini. It's a long shot, but it's really his only option at this point.
Yeah, Mindy going for a pretty on-curve 4th base. There's a mine blocking that. He's going to have to clear that out with the Dragoons. And does throw down that next. By the way, that was super ballsy from Mini. Like, he cleared out the mine despite the probe being nearby. So if he had missed micro, the probe could have died to the mine. And he just felt so confident that he didn't even bother pulling the probe away from the mine. It's kind of insane.
Yeah, this guy, when he's performing, when he's doing well, he really gets into his element. Like you were saying before, a bit of an emotional player. A guy who occasionally falls apart in difficult situations when things aren't going his way, but when he's doing right, when things are working out in his advantage, I mean, it's almost unstoppable. He seems almost unstoppable. If he could play like this every day, man, he would have so many ASL titles. Diving in now on top of these tanks, trying to hit from the side here. Barely manages to drop with the Reaver a second time and gets one last shot off. That one last shot will help him clear so many more tanks, but he does lose the remainder of his Dragoons. So this base can be sustained here for Royal.
Honestly, I thought that Royal was gonna sustain a lot more tanks in that fight, but Mini found like the one little niche window to find a connection with the Scarab, with the slugged out Reaver, to still clear up enough tanks to make it worth losing that many Dragoons. Still, Royal's not in a bad spot. He's got the 3rd base online. He's got a decent amount of factories. He's getting a science facility at a reasonable timing thanks to saving that starport. Like, all hope is not yet lost for Royal. And if he can just batten down the hatches here, he might be okay. He's going to wall off this bridge, which is the big point of weakness on this map. As long as you can wall that off, really does shut down a lot of the Protoss players' options here. His scans are going to be super late in this game. He's had to kind of optimize not going for any early scan timings to make sure that he's curving out well against Mini after not really doing anything with that Vulture drop play. And Mini is going carriers, man. And because of how late these scans are, I'm a little bit concerned, because if Royal just doesn't scan the main base for a while, instead uses the scans to identify like the fast rally point in the top right or something, he doesn't actually need to do that because there's a mine spotting the timing of that. But if he doesn't scan the main for a while because of how late these comsats are, these carriers could catch him off guard.
It's kind of wild that Mini dove on the tanks there as he's coming out for his 3rd, right? While he's going into carriers, kind of throws his Reavers away to get some damage. If he had lost everything and Royal had, you know, just kind of cleaned that up easily, there's nothing to defend you while you're transitioning into carrier. You're just kind of wide open at that point, and Mini could just die to a counterattack, but he got the damage that he was looking for. He slowed down the tank count enough, reset the tank count enough to where Royal just can't really push. He just can't really do anything right now. Let's see if this drop, he's going to drop here at the 3rd. I thought he was actually going to fly through with this after dropping and go into the main. Looks like he won't, and so he won't get the critical information about the carrier transition.
Yeah, those two cannons just make it a little bit harder. He's going to try and run around now. He scans to see if there's anything to intercept the dropship, and then he's going to go into the main base. So now he actually might be able to identify the carriers, which will be a huge boon for Royal if he knows about this ahead of schedule. He sees a Stargate, now sees the fleet beacon and the other two Stargates. Now he's got a good timing window. He knows what he has to do. He's got about 2 minutes or so to get over here and actually kill Mini while this is all going online. And that's probably one of the best case scenarios here for Royal, knowing about this. He can actually gear up. He sees that the 2 carriers have popped out, but until the 3rd and 4th carrier are done, they aren't really in fighting condition. You kind of need 4 carriers to start fighting the Terran. Once you get 6, that's where it becomes super scary. And with 3 Stargate, he's actually going to go up to 5 pretty quickly. But there's a massive timing window now for Royal to punish. He's got about 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes to start to push across the map.
Yeah, he's unsieged everything really quickly. He's going to catch the Reaver immediately. Second shuttle with a double Reaver here as well. Going to try to slow this down as best he can. If you overstep too much here with the tanks, you will lose everything just to the ground army alone. You don't need the carriers to win this fight. Oh my gosh, 2 tanks come forward and get absolutely obliterated. That's a big problem for Royal right now. He needs to make this push work before those 3 Stargates crank out enough carriers to just overwhelm him completely, because time is ticking here. Royal's going to try to shove forward as quickly as he can. He's heading northward, making a lot of progress, not towards the natural, but actually getting across this map pretty efficiently otherwise.
Yeah, he's making good ground. The Reavers have a damage upgrade. Does kill one of those Reavers. And he's making good progress here, shutting down both the Reavers now. Suddenly he's going to be having to rely on those carriers more and more. He has got 5 carriers out now. Does take a while for the interceptors to build up, so there's still a timing for Royal to make work here, but he hasn't got that many Goliaths in support of these tanks. If Mini shaves off just a few more of these Goliaths, maybe Royal will be in trouble. He has got a lot of reinforcements coming over, a lot of Goliaths, but Mini's intercepting that with a small counter-attacking force of Zealot Goon to try and limit the anti-air options of Royal. There's not a lot of Goliaths with this army now because of that distraction from Mini in the backline. It's taking much longer for those reinforcements to arrive. The tanks are doing a lot of work on the ground, but now the carriers can start to chew through the tank line just as the reinforcing Goliaths arrive.
Oh my goodness, he's gonna dive on top of the carrier. Can he actually get some of these kills? Not moving the carriers right now, not being targeted either though. Royal finally gonna start to target those down. Looks like he'll get a carrier, just barely, potentially, not quite getting it. Still pushing forward though, rallying straight across the map. Royal splitting off tanks right now as he should, just trying to get whatever kills he can on some of these bases on the periphery. While he pushes into this natural, a lot of tanks are being targeted down. No scan on the high ground. I think it just went down there, gets a scan out to try and deal with that. Reaver dropped on top of these tanks, just slowly dealing with this attack. Looks like he's not going to break the center left, and if he doesn't start breaking bases soon here, Royal's in a ton of trouble.
Yeah, when they're going carriers, the win condition is to split off your forces, just a few tanks to each of the bases to start playing whack-a-mole with them. He's not been successful at knocking out that base right now. Mini is doing it. There's a bit of a continuation now as the Goliaths rotate over to this natural 3rd location, but the Reaver's done so much work, microing that Reaver while also handling the carriers fighting the Goliaths. And Mini holds, man, and he's got 5 bases with a 6th going online in the bottom left to really pull Royal to and fro. There's a 1 Vulture getting a little bit of work on the probe line in the top right, but that is not going to be enough compensation, man. Mini is going up to like 8 carriers or something insane, or at least 7. And yeah, this is going to get worse and worse for Royal. He's got the 2-1 upgrades, but it's going to be a long time coming until 3-2 kicks in. And this is not a great game state for Terran unless you catch the carriers in the middle of the map. One of the weaknesses of carriers on maps like this is there's a wide open center. If the carriers do get caught out in the open field, the Goliaths can really easily get on top of them.
Oh my goodness. Double shuttle coming around to the bottom center as well. He's going to start harassing here with Reavers, dealing a lot of damage to the mineral line as well. Oh, huge hits there. Dude, Mini is out of control right now. He's even taking bottom left, which is something that a tactic that usually the Terran player does against carriers, is just take bases on either side of the map and force the carriers to respond, which they are very slow, very difficult to respond in two different locations and two different sides of the map. But Mini is doing that to the Terran army right now. He's taking base down in the bottom left, and that hasn't even been scouted yet. Meanwhile, this CC that's being taken, that has been scouted, and Mini's going to respond to it by canceling that, forcing that cancel, and just staying mobile with these carriers, not allowing Royal to take a straight up fight.
Yeah, Royal's in trouble, man. He's on just 2 bases worth of economy versus a very potent Mini who's got a lot of bases. He's going to be mined out in his main and natural, but he's got 4 more bases besides those 2 that are getting mined out. So it's going to be 4 base versus 2 base in just a few moments here. The carriers are in the open field. Royal trying to pounce on top of those carriers. Might be able to snipe one of them. Does get the kill on that. And with the tanks, maybe there's a way of winning against this force as long as he can keep killing the interceptors, keeping the DPS level of those carriers low. Like, it's one thing having 9 carriers, but if there's not that many interceptors, you don't really have the DPS to chomp through the Terran army. So Royal might be able to win on tempo alone. He can keep finding good engagements. He's got a lot of tank support to keep the Dragoons at bay, but he hasn't got a crazy amount of Goliaths. The longer that the Mini just churns away making interceptors, the worse this is going to get here for Royal. He's finally got that +3 weapons kicking in, so he has a lot of fighting potential with this army. But if he gets just out-microed a little bit here, he's going to be dead in the water.
I really haven't seen many Protoss players go for this style. Reaver carrier with Reaver attack upgrade as well. It's more of a snow build, but Mini is playing up beautifully. He's just making it so hard for Royal to attack into any position. And although there's been some mistakes with the carrier micro, like we've seen him, you know, losing carriers and giving opportunities for Royal to dive on top of these carriers, he's kept enough of them alive to stay a real threat and prevent Royal from just pushing in uncontested, pushing in without fear here. He's got to be really careful as he goes in, because he has to maintain that critical mass of Goliaths, and the Reavers are constantly lowering that.
Yeah, this is a bad play from Royal. Like, there's no point in pressuring the natural right now. He does actually kill a carrier, but there's a massive ridge line for the carriers to keep microing back and forth here. This is one of the worst places to take a fight as Terran. He's so close to killing a few more carriers. 3 of them are super low on HP, with a 4th on middle HP. But yeah, this doesn't look great for Royal. He's hoping on winning with tempo alone. I'm not sure it's going to be enough. He needs to rotate down here to knock out this natural third, but there's 2 Reavers to meet him and slow down. Look at that damage upgrade. Just 2 Reaver Scarab shots easily blasting open 2 siege tanks, even though one of the connections was splash damage. 13 kills on one of those Reavers. Absolute insanity that he's getting that much value out of Reavers this late in the game. Reavers are super good at demolishing the Goliaths on the ground as well. Mini just chewing through Royal, and a massive counter attack at 6 o'clock to start hammering in those coffin nails on Royal at the moment. I don't think he's going to be able to do it now. I think he's going to have to tap out.
Yeah, 80 supply advantage. You're not coming back from that, especially not with a carrier player, and so GG will be called. Royal taps out Mini on an absolute rampage, taking out the bright shining star of Royal, and moving on to either Barracks or Speed coming up next. Barracks has been selected to take on Mini. He's spawning over here in the top right-hand corner. We actually haven't seen him too much lately. Him and Speed have been kind of out of the KCM recently, and I haven't really seen him in Pro League much either. So, I mean, after his ASL performance, I thought he would be a regular. An instant regular, but seems like he's maybe busy, maybe planning his own stuff, maybe practicing on his own. For a player like Barracks, I think ASL is top of mind.
Yeah, he does grind a lot of games as well. He's been playing for a very long time. He was even around when Flash was in dominance. He just wasn't quite up to scratch compared to those other Terrans, especially in the shadow of Flash. You wouldn't really have noticed him much. And yeah, I'm sure he's still grinding away. Got a gateway here on the logo for Mini. He did beat Mini in the ASL in a pretty long series, clinching it out with that proxy barracks play. and punishing Mini. And yeah, let's see if he can do it again. Let's see if he can get the better end of Mini. I'm sure Mini does want revenge from what happened to him in the ASL. Barracks was the only Terran in the end towards the last stretch of that tournament. And he is one of these guys that's capable of being a very dominant player. He's just not quite gotten there. He plays a lot of games, but there's always been a few holes in his play. He has improved a lot over the last year or two. This Terran versus Protoss is no longer as weak as it used to be, but he is still his worst matchup by far.
Yeah, he's a very strong Terran versus Zerg player, and it's a very good point about taking down Mini in the ASL. That was on Radeon, but here on Knockout, Mini just going to open gateway, a forward gateway, and try to go with his normal pressure here. Let's see how Barracks responds. Pretty good pull, but the Marine there not kind of acting right. He doesn't save that SCV. A bit of a Artosis SCV staying on that right-hand side for way too long, just eating all that damage from the Zealot and Probe. And so slow down on the factory. Already a great early game move from Mini, and the second Zealot's coming in with a Dragoon not far behind.
Yeah, this is good pressure play here from Mini. It's going to be so long until that Vulture actually pops out. These two Zealots might be able to get something done. Let's see if he wants to pull the trigger. No, he actually doesn't. He actually wants to run away and stop from losing these Zealots for free to that Vulture. Wants to wait for this Dragoon to get further out on the map. Good slowdown there from Barracks. He's going to deny the Nexus being plopped in the natural for a little bit of time here. And that does slow things down for Mini. Bunker already on the way, but the Dragoon is about to arrive with two Zealots, and the bunker is not finished. This could be problematic. It's just about to finish, though. He could maybe get inside with these Marines in the nick of time to shut this down, and he does so.
That was a nice target fire. You got to give it to Barracks there. He just targeted the lowest HP Zealot directly, and then immediately targeted the second Zealot with everything. And so with this many Marines and that great target fire, doesn't lose anything, gets the bunker up, will slip the Vulture out as well, and has his CC on the way in good time. This is a great start for Barracks, doing much better than his previous two Terran players, than the previous two Terran players against Mini.
Yeah, this is a pretty good opening from him, and with that trench, it's going to be hard to force the Terran to pay any kind of tax bill as well. And just going to be unloading those Marines and putting on the pressure. Dragoon a little bit out of position, does have faster movement speed than these Terran units for the time being, so going to try and get in there and micro and get some few chip damage off of those Marine units to maybe stop Barracks feeling confident enough to push across the map when the tank pops out. Let's see how Barracks can navigate this game going forward. He has historically been pretty weak in TVP, but he did beat Mini in the ASL, and maybe that will come into play a little bit here. Mini might be a little bit frustrated if he can't find a good game state right off the bat. Nice walling attempt here, though, from Mini, shutting down this Vulture right off the bat. That's pretty painful to lose a Vulture right as mine upgrades finish. He does get one connection on the Dragoon for a little bit of compensation, but still not ideal.
Oh my gosh, you got a second mine. That's huge. Yeah, really good move there from Barracks to just throw down the mine as a last-ditch effort right next to the opening where the Dragoons pop out of that gateway. Got a little lucky there. Had a Dragoon about to pop to Mini, and he took a lot of damage on it. Losing your first Vulture is never good. It really does hurt, but this is some pretty decent compensation, and I'm wondering what Barracks' follow-up is going to be here with this second factory. Is he planning on just going for a very quick 1-1-1 with maybe a third base, like a high ground third base, try to push down Mini? What do you think here, Shun?
Yeah, I'm not so sure. Like, he's not adding any additional factories just yet. He should start adding them now if he wants to play anything reminiscent of a 5-factory play, and he hasn't yet done that. So I'm really interested to see what he's got planned here, because he is starting to set up turrets, and he is not even thinking about adding a 3rd or 4th factory for at least the time being. Tries to get a bit of a run by in the natural, laying down mines on the face of that Dragoon. Won't be as successful this time around in getting a connection. And yeah, you can see Mini pretty undeterred in getting his own third base. But this is a bit weird from Barracks that he's not yet thrown down any additional factories. He should have already started the factories by now, and he hasn't. He's just playing off 2 factories alone and just mining up and turreting up his main base to deflect the shuttle play from Mini. This is a pretty unorthodox game from Barracks thus far.
I should actually clear up what I said earlier. I think I said 1-1-1. I mean 1-1 timing with upgrades. That's been pretty popular recently, like 5-6 factory play with 1-1 upgrades finishing, and not really opting to get a starport or a science facility. The drop play has been working really well against the majority of the Protoss squad, but it seems like Mini has it pretty much locked down, and so Barracks may be switching it up. He may be going for a heavier factory count a little bit later on after shutting down this push. Some little bits of damage here and there from Mini. Can he get a tank? He does get a tank kill there. Barracks is doing a great job of pulling away, but now taking full damage on these tanks. Losing one of them is pretty problematic. Mini's going to be able to take his 4th here in just a moment, and Barracks just now adding on his additional factories. Will he be going for that aggressive Terran style? Are we going to see a more expansionistic Terran out of Barracks play?
Yeah, he is going for 5 factory now, but this is relatively slow compared to what he could have gone for. I don't know if that's a response to losing the tank, or if he was always going to do that, and maybe he's trying to fake out Mini a little bit and make it look like it's a tech mech play and make Mini feel like he's able to be a lot greedier. But I don't think Mini's going to fall for it. He's already got 4 gateways, and I'm sure he's going to go up to 6 relatively quickly off of this 4 base. He's just throwing down an additional gateway now. But there is still a window for Barracks to make this work. I just don't think Mini's going to fall for it that easy. Like, even though there's temptation here for Mini to be greedy, I'm pretty sure he's going to make the prerequisite amount of gateways needed.
6 factory 1-1, and there's no observer in the main base as far as I can tell. You might be right. Maybe he is sensing this. Maybe he kind of has an idea of what Barracks is up to, but he doesn't have confirmation. He doesn't know that that's what's coming. Right. And so there is a bit of gray area here where maybe Barracks can suddenly come out with a huge army, gun down this shuttle, and if he manages to do that without losing too much, it's going to be very hard for Mini to hold back the push. He's coming forward now, gets a great volley on that shuttle. He's going for the kill on that. He really wants to get it. Can he actually finish it? No, he cannot. The push forward here onto the high ground, it's kind of a red herring here from Barracks. He's trying to sell Mini on a 3rd base coming down, CC floating out, and Barracks playing more of a reserved game. But this is in fact just going to be a turn and attack as soon as he manages to get rid of that shuttle.
Yeah, it might work. I mean, Mini's got 7 gateways total. That is not bad, but it's not ideal against 6 factories. You kind of want about a 1.5 to 1 ratio of gateways to factories. Mini might not have fully identified this. He might even think this is now only a 5 factory play, not a 6 factory heavy commitment from Barracks. He's probably just now starting to realize, and it might be a little bit too late. Barracks can do a lot with this push. He kills the shuttle. Reaver's now dead in the water. Pretty good engagement on the right hand side against the Dragoons as well. Barracks is pretty semi all in with this. Well, technically he's all in, but he's done enough damage to translate this into a semi all in and eventually get that 3rd base up anyway. But that's a beautiful mine connection as well. I don't know, man. Mini could be in a lot of trouble here. He's scrambling right now, and if he can just get inside Mini's head a little bit and force Mini to falter ever so slightly, it's going to give him a lot of opportunities to just push down to this high ground. Mini needs to hold on to this high ground, loses a Reaver. He is not doing a good job of trading, and now the shuttle too. He has the high ground advantage to fight down from, but already losing the majority of that Reaver shuttle support means that Barracks can continue his effort almost undeterred.
I love the buildings flying forward in a situation like this. Just kind of screening for the units here on the ground and giving the Dragoons something to attack. He's going to try to run up on the left-hand side here. Gets on top of some of the tanks, but so many Dragoons are falling.
Oh, wow.
Oh, man, so much blue blood here. I feel like Mini trips up on his own shoelaces in this game, falls on his face after walking into some of those mines. That was brutal. Barracks shuts down Mini. Who will be revived here to try and make the comeback happen for the Protoss squad now? And Shun was correct. Best gets that revive. I think I shut off the recording right as you called that, Shun. But
That's okay.
Rest assured, guys, Best is here to win the day. Protoss fans out there, Best taking the stage down here at the bottom left, Barracks in center right. It really goes to show you the confidence that this Protoss squad has when it comes to Best play right now, his strength in this matchup, that even though he got taken out early on and Mini was the one to take down Sharp and Royal, that they're just going to send out Best anyway.
Yeah, I understand if they did feel like reviving Mini was the choice, but he's such an emotional player that even if he does have a pretty good day, you can't fully depend on him. Whereas I reckon that almost no matter what day Best is having, he's going to be able to perform on some level in PvT. And I think that game against Sharp was a little bit unlucky from him as well. I don't think we'll be seeing a repeat of that, especially not against Barracks. I have a very strong inclination that Best is very capable of taking 3 players down in a row. The question is, can he beat Royal out of those 3 players? He's got to play super consistently to do it.
Yeah, he for sure does. But really, Best is the comeback King Kong, man. And he's the underdog right now. He's been already taken out. This guy always plays better when he's playing from behind. So in a series where his team is faltering, where he's been put into this difficult situation, is that side of him going to shine through? I'm expecting to see fireworks here with Best versus Barracks. Barracks going to be throwing down his factory here in a moment. Best has the full information, tries to get some harassment going, but is defended pretty solidly by Barracks so far.
Yeah, I don't think we'll see anything spicy from Best either. He's such a macro-centric Protoss. Plays a lot into the fundamental strengths of Protoss overall. And if you do want to study someone in how to understand the game better, especially in PvT, Best is the guy you want to study. There's just no way you guys are going to be able to emulate what something like Snow does. Even Mini is like a super optimizer of a player, so he might give you some insights into how to get the most out of your optimizations, but you also don't want to play like him either, because he is very microcentric and making that come online. So if you want to study any of these pro gamers and how to play better PvT, Best is your man. Like, he just plays a really straight up solid macro style almost every single time. He'll occasionally throw in a DT play to kind of obfuscate his build order range ever so slightly, but for the most part he's about as standard as it gets for Protoss.
Yeah, and I expect to see him leaning heavily on that standard play and just trying to out-muscle these Terran players when the time comes to push. Barracks will have to probably push to the middle of the map here on Dominator if he wants to go for like a 1-1-1 again, or excuse me, 1-1 pressure play again with the 1-1 upgrades like he did against Mini earlier. You can't really push up and down all of these different ramps. It's just so easy to abuse as the Protoss player when you've got the high ground over and over again, and Reavers can just keep retreating further and further back. Eventually, Best will overwhelm you with his units after he's kind of weathered the storm and worn down that Terran army. So we'll have to see Barracks taking a more tactical approach if he wants to try that. Really being mindful of the difficulties of pushing on this map.
Yeah, this was a 23 Nexus from Best. Barracks made the bunker but kept it at 99 HP and cancelled it when he realized there wasn't going to be any pressure play from Best, so he kind of hedged his bets to optimize himself. And this is super standard stuff from Best, going into a quick robo and then a second gateway. It's about as standard can be. You can go for a 3 gateway observer. That's about as cookie cutter as you can get for Protoss, but it's not super optimized. It'll defend pretty much anything the Terran throws your way. But most Protoss players are going to be going 2 gateway just to optimize their third base timing and what have you. That's not a bad mind connection.
Oh, but he does get the Vulture. That's a pretty good pickup as well for Best. So, bit of a trade there. Some HP for a Vulture. And he's going to try and slip this probe over. But great catch by Barracks. He's just going to shoot that down immediately. Definitely is painful to be losing that right now. And actually, he's going to lose the Dragoon as well. Good micro here from Best. Gets rid of the mine as well. You know what? This is pretty worth. Okay, one more mine goes down, so you can't actually come over here and take that Nexus just yet. Best, is he going to just take his mineral only because that's been delayed? Doesn't really seem like it. Looks like he just wants to wait for this observer to clear that out.
Yeah, you don't really want to take the mineral only, and not with these spawn positions as well. It makes sense to just take the delayed expansion at the 9. You kind of really want this base instead. It's much easier to defend, as well as having a more optimized mining with that gas included. So yeah, he's gonna take a little bit of a delayed third here. Not a bad play from Barracks. He has slowed this down pretty significantly, and he did get away with not making a bunker. So he's pretty optimized against what Best is doing. He's actually ahead of the curve ever so slightly because of that delayed third. You can see that a little bit reflected in the supplies now. They're more or less dead even. Best slowly starting to creep ahead now. But yeah, probably one of the better early games that Barracks could have hoped for.
Can he run by here? There's only a few Dragoons at the natural, and they're not in the wall. Wall is pretty wide open. One more hit here. No, not able to get that last hit on the Vulture. Can he get the probe attack? Can't get the one probe attack either to finish that off. And so 2 more probes end up falling. Pretty annoying aggression here from Barracks, but it's not a game winner. It's not a game breaker here. Best just gonna pull back, deal with that, and get set up for the next stage of this game with his third base coming online.
Yeah, I don't think that Barracks will be moving out anytime soon. I guess he could go for a 5 tank push, but something like a 7 tank push after making sure he's safe against the initial shuttle and Reaver would probably be a bit more optimized. Got an observer camping out over the factories right now. He sees no additional factories have been made for the time being, but they should be starting to go down now. Looks like he's just now throwing down that 3rd and 4th factory. So yeah, I mean, this is good information for Best. He knows exactly what he's up against. Barracks hasn't actually... Okay, there's the 4th factory being thrown down now. A little bit suboptimal timings from him, but he has slowed down Best, so relatively speaking, he's on curve. And I don't think Best is going to have an easy job at finding any damage with the shuttle and Reaver. That's going to mainly be to slow down the advance of Barracks when that finally comes out.
Yeah, he's never been a really particularly strong Reaver player, and Barracks is one of those guys who really gets a good setup in his main base too. It's hard to cover everything on Dominator. It's so wide, and there's such a wide angle of attack to come in with this shuttle, but Barracks has set up a consummate defense here. He's ready for just about anything coming in at any angle. There's like a bit of space here where he can try to drop. Looks like he'll drop right on top of the mine though. Okay, does manage to dodge that mine, but tank turret right in position and more reinforcements on the way means Best just has to abandon the ship and will, like you said, get out in front of this Terran army and get into position to start slowing that down. Third base on the way here for Barracks, so he's not going to go for some immediate pressure. Wants to come over and take the third. Will best allow that to happen.
Yeah, and you can see a totally different style compared to Mini. Like, he's gone all the way up into like 8 gateways worth of production off of these 3 bases worth of mining. So he should be able to smack down this 5 factory when it does start to come out on the map. It's a little bit dependent on Reaver control and what have you. But this is best style. Like, he wants to outmuscle you. As soon as you start to come out onto the map, he's gonna find a way of cracking you open. Let's see if Barracks actually wants to pull the trigger on that, or if he's just gonna take the 3rd base and use this extra muscle in the early game from these 5 factories to have an easier time of securing that base. It's actually quite common for 5 factory play just to give you more chance at securing that 3rd without being rolled over. And a good scan as well identifies the production capability of the Protoss here, so he should understand that all he wants to do right now is just take the 3rd and not try and push.
Yeah, I mean, he sees no 4th base coming, right? He's got very good coverage with these mines to see that Best is not taking additional bases, so he knows Best's MO and his propensity for shutting down 3rd bases hard as they try to be secured by these Terrans. And so being a little bit careful here, make sure not to lose too many vultures. Just small raiding parties will be sufficient to try and slow down Best. You don't want to throw away too many vultures because the masses of zealots that Best can field at this point, you need an answer to that, and mines alone aren't going to cut it.
Yeah, I'm Best taking his mineral only now at the 11-minute mark, which is pretty reasonable timing. Looks like Barracks is trying to be a teeny tiny bit greedy with taking the gas expansion as his 3rd. I actually kind of like it. If you've got this many units, you might as well go for the better expansion if you can secure it. It's also a lot harder to attack into that once you've got it set up. We think we have quite a lot of factories here from Barracks. Like, he's going up to 8 total, which usually you'll have 7 off a 3 base going forward, and he's actually kind of ahead of schedule. He's been making that 8th factory before he even landed the CC at the 3rd, kind of maybe understanding that he needs a little bit of extra meat on the bone against Best. That might help him out a lot. He's also got a lot of Goliaths to snipe in the shuttles, as Best might attempt some kind of bulldog. So Barracks is really anticipating and trying to metagame Best here. He's probably played a lot of games against him and knows that he can't cut any corners and maybe even needs to double down on his timings to be safe. But Best is also gonna metagame Barracks. I think he realizes that this is not a time to attack, and instead is actually gonna take a quick 5th base here in this top left pocket.
Yeah, taking that 5th base is indicative of Best kind of waiting a little bit here while Barracks sets up on his 3rd base. I guess looking into that position, Best is not quite thinking that's going to be reasonable to attack. I mean, diving into the main is definitely a good alternative to trying to bust right now. Diving right in here. I love the bunker here inside the main. What a storm, though. The follow-up storms are insane. Holy crap. Dude, every SCV just died. Every SCV in the main just went down. That's insane.
Yeah, I think like 2 got out with their lives on red HP and the rest died. Absolute insanity. Barracks just had so much of his economy obliterated. He's gonna have to transfer from his natural to mineral smooth out a bit here. And that was a nice attack from Best. I mean, he's already maxed out, don't forget, guys. So like, it's not bad to cycle out some units when you're maxed out like this to do massive damage. And he's also got double forge spinning, so he's gonna be pretty ahead of schedule on the curve of the upgrades. We've got 1-1 for Barracks, but no science facility in sight for a little bit longer, so Best will be ahead in upgrades in this game soon. It's going to be a little bit of time before that 2-1 kicks in. That's another reason why Best doesn't want to fight right now. He knows for the time being there's 1-1 versus just +1. So Best is going to be a little bit tentative, waiting for those upgrades to kick in, and maybe wait for the Terran to start to take a 4th base before he even thinks about attacking properly.
I mean, after doing that much SCV damage, you gotta wait a little bit for the effects of it to start to kick in. A secondary drop coming in. Does lose that immediately, but oh my god, so many more kills. Holy, that is so much damage right here. This Reaver will end up falling along with the High Templar, but man, I mean, Best has just set himself up so nicely here with all those kills. He can just kind of go into a longer macro game, wait for Barracks to kind of come out here and take a fourth, and he should have such a big advantage. I mean, look at this army coming forward. Looks like he's going to start to push north. Maybe going to move to the middle of the map, try to take over that area. Let's see how he does with the control here, because storms are available. He has to be really tentative in how he moves forward here, because Splash is going to be critical, key in this next upcoming fight. Barracks must not lose this army right now, because it's going to be very hard to replace with so many SCVs having been lost.
Yeah, Best is going to maybe skirmish a little bit here, but I don't think he wants to attack for a time being. He's actually just going to expand into the top left. A little bit of an engagement here with a predominantly vulture-based army before the tanks can roll down. And this might catch Best off guard a little bit. He was planning to play keep away with Barracks and just let him take this mineral only, but now he can actually counter-attack the mineral only, maybe force a cancel on that. Barracks overextended ever so slightly. He now has to decide, is he going to pull the trigger on attacking or just setting up this base again? And neither of them are good options, because Best has so many Zealots running it down right now on this horizontal axis. 12 gateway production behind this as well. Some beautiful Sonic Storms blanketing those tanks in the front line, while the Dragoons are counterattacking from behind, denying these tanks from setting up optimally. Best is just going to steamroll over this Terran metal like it's almost non-existent. This is a seriously good trade from him. He doesn't even have to keep running it down. He just needs to trade off tanks and call it a day. And once that base in the top center comes online, he's going to be racing ahead in the metrics of this game.
And I think that Barracks was a little bit tilted there from that last drop. How many SCVs went down? He left like 7 or 8 tanks on the high ground at the third base when he came out for this push. And I mean, those are all here now, but you need the army to be combined. Wow. Oh my god, what a storm there on all these bottom tanks. Like 5 tanks ate that storm in full, and they are so deep in the red. Best will easily run this over with the next couple of rallies of units. I think that Barracks is just about running out of steam here, even though he's still pushing forward and trying to make this work. Best just has so much macro behind this, and the storms are going to come through to start to finish off a lot of these tanks. Nice target fire to get rid of that storm on the south side, but another storm comes through, and yeah, there's just too much. There's too much here. Dropping below 100 supply now. Best is overwhelming Barracks.
Yeah, I mean, that attack looked like it could have worked, but if with the tanks on that low of HP, it's just not going to happen, unfortunately. And Barracks is about to see the bad news now. He's just scouted that base at the 12 o'clock position. He knows just how far behind. I'm not sure if he even knows about the top left pocket. You can assume that that's there, but it doesn't really matter. Like, as long as Best trades any kind of efficiency rating, even just like 40% plus would probably do it at this point now. Barracks needs exceptionally good trades to come back in this game, and he hasn't even got a 4th base mining. He's in a lot of trouble now, because this CC might even go down.
Yeah, this CC looks like it could end up falling, and the tanks here are gonna siege up just barely in time. Okay, flank as well. Oh my goodness, GG. One of the best storms I've ever seen in PvT from Best. Rips through the economy of Barracks and leads to this dominant mid-game shutdown on the 4th base. Really well played by Best, and he's going to be taking on Speed coming right up. All right, up next, Speed in the top left versus Best. Speed, a player that we had a lot of hype for in the last season of KCM and also the last season of ASL, man. I was really excited to see this guy go deep. He disappointed somewhat, and it turned out that Barracks was actually the kind of the star Terran player star kind of up-and-coming Terran player for that season, but I think that Speed is absolutely capable. Just needs to hit his what would you call it, his curve, his confidence to actually take home some serious long series and some great games in the ASL in the offline mode.
Yeah, he started off with the moniker 10-minute Flash because he was so good in those early games, and he's really fast like his namesake Speed. But yeah, had a bit of a disappointing run after his groups. He looked really solid in TVT in the early group stages, but not really shining beyond that in the ASL. Hopefully he can give us some more great games in the future. He definitely has the possibility of going super deep in an ASL, but needs to find his mojo. And I think he is held back a little bit by his Terran versus Protoss. I mean, that happens to a lot of Terran players. They kind of get really good at TVT, really solid at TVZ, but TVP always ends up holding them back. There's only really one player on the planet, Mong, is really good at TVP and really terrible in TVZ. He's like the one exception to the rule.
Yeah, the kind of strange exception. Boasting like what, 60% plus win rate versus Protoss, and lower than 20% win rate, lower than 15% win rate even versus Zerg. It's kind of crazy, but one guy bucks the trend. Always funny to see Mong in an ASL. It's like one of those players where you know he just has to get the right matchups or he's not going very far.
Yeah, it's funny because, like, historically speaking, Mong wasn't that terrible at TVZ many years ago. And if you look up his record, it doesn't tell the story. Like, his TVP looks pretty mediocre on his stats, but if you include his, like, last few years only, you'll see, oh my god, this guy is an absolute monster TVP and absolutely abysmally bad in TVZ. This is kind of a funny story. He just can't handle the bio play. He'll sometimes go mech against Zerg, but mech's not super good at the pro level. Look at that! Look at that SCV juking, trying to see if he can avoid any moving shots from best. He has got some of the highest APM out of all the players on the planet. You'll see him regularly almost hitting 500 APM. It's kind of insane just how fast this guy is, but he finds it hard to translate that into success into the mid to late game transition. But he is really good in this early to mid game.
Yeah, absolutely. He's been brushing up on that. He's been looking better and better. Like I said, we had a huge high expectations for him going into last season of ASL, and that wasn't for no reason. He was playing absolutely out of his mind. He was looking like kind of like Royal is looking now, right? Going into the last season of ASL, but then started to fall apart. Just didn't quite pull it together. I think he lost confidence and had a hard time playing offline. Much better maybe at online mode. There's so many players like that though.
Yeah,
in
true.
Starcraft Broodwar, there's so many guys who just can't quite put it together in offline, but have an amazing showing really regularly in online play.
Yeah, it's just different, right? Like, there's so many more nerves, and you're not playing from the comfort of your own home. You got the audience staring at you, lots of cameras and lights. Unless you've been doing it for like 10 plus years and you've played a bunch of ASLs, even then it still doesn't feel super comfortable. That's why, weirdly, players like Jaedong, they might not be necessarily playing at the best of their game, but they can handle those nerves better. You know, they've got a lot more experience playing in the offline stage that it helps them out a lot. Whereas some of these newer guys like Speed, not quite able to say the same.
Yeah, honestly, that's one of the reasons why I like Snow so much. He's got such a poker face when it comes to offline play. He seems so calm and collected in a lot of these offline tournaments. It does tend to falter. I mean, everybody starts to falter when they get really far behind, when they start losing games. Very hard to keep your head on straight, but if he starts to figure out his optimizations a little bit better, I think we're gonna see Snow do extremely well. He's just so calm in that offline play. But we got to talk more about this game we're watching right now. Some Mines being set up over here at the 3rd in front of the natural as well. Best, once again, 2 gate. Oh, actually 3 gate with Observer. Excuse me. 3rd gate out here. Very cautious defensive play from Best to make sure that he doesn't take damage. And if Speed gets a little bit too close with this army, if he wants to get too frisky with this army here and try to push forward with this tank, he could end up losing it really quickly. He's going to try to run forward. He's one of the best at laying down mines right in front of the Dragoons and actually getting them to connect, and he's going to try that here. Can he actually get anything to go off? Mines are pretty close to connecting, but none of them really hitting. Some more vultures come in and try to get this connection. He gets 1 hit on one of these Dragoons, but he's actually running out of vultures overall, and now he's going to get collapsed upon. Yeah, 3 gate goon is a little bit hard to push through, man. Like, there's too many goons here to shut down.
It's the most cookie cutter way of playing Protoss. It's just super safe against anything that Terran can throw your way, and maybe best identifying that not only is Speed this kind of guy where he's reliant on early damage, but also after that game against Sharp on Metropolis, he took a lot of damage to that drop play, and maybe he's realized, hang on a minute, I just need to not let anything bad happen to me, and I'm probably going to have a good game. And that might be right on the money here. Another contingency here from Speed, though, catching these 2 Dragoons at the 3rd, laying down mines on top of them, trying to do a lot with a little. He does get a good connection to finish those off. So, I mean, these aren't the worst trades here from Speed, but this was like the bare minimum compensation needed to make this state a lot more playable after that first attack got completely shut down.
Honestly, it's kind of impressive that Speed managed to get anything when there's 3 gate goon with Observer waiting for him right as he pushes in there, with 2 factory, you know, 1 tank and a few vultures. I mean, he did about as good as you can, got about as much as you can hope for, and now he's gonna follow up with a 5 factory. He can take a 3rd base here, right? He can just come out and take the 3rd base. It's not the case that you know, he got a bad spawn here on Metropolis. It's pretty reasonable, but I'm wondering if he has the confidence to do that right now, or if he just wants to go 1-1 push.
Yeah, well, he's going 6 factory. I think he's going to push very quickly here.
Oh, is there 6 factory? I didn't see that.
Yeah, there's 6 factories. He definitely wants to go aggressive. Yeah. So it's going to be maybe even just a +1 timing here and just try and run it down. It is cross map, so it's not as ideal as it could be. Best, I think he's got 7 gateways total, something like that. Maybe going up into 8 actually. So if he gets 8, I think he's going to be okay. And Best is one of those Protoss players that is really happy to play conservatively. He's not one of these, I'm going to race and take a fast 4th against you kind of guys. He very often goes straight into 8 gateway off 3 bases. Not a bad run by here from Speed, getting up here and catching a few more probes. Not the most ideal of trades, but anything is good from his position. He's actually looking pretty good on paper right now. Like, he's maybe killed enough of these Dragoons with the Vulture raiding parties that there's definitely a win condition here from him. If Best, despite having the gateways, doesn't produce a lot of units, could die. There's a lot of times Protoss players, they'll make the gateways, but they won't maintain 24/7 unit production, and that can be their folly more often than not. We'll have to wait and see how Best optimizes with those gateways. He's got a bit of a drop potential in the back of the main base here of Speed. This isn't to do crippling damage. This is just to kind of keep Speed locked into his base while he gets set up back at home. Could have been a good Scarab connection there on the SCVs, but he does get the good pull and it ends up dudding out. But Best is technically doing what he wants to. He just wants to delay the move out timing by a few extra seconds so that these 8 gateways can come online.
And that Comsat actually kind of saved him there. Comsat kind of bugged out the Scarab. I don't think that was intentional, but if it was, that's one of the sicker moves I've ever seen a Terran player do. Drop a Comsat to block a Scarab is very high up there, but Speed's coming out now. Is pushing forward. The Reaver is still alive. I think it took a mine hit though. Did I see that correctly? I think it took some damage, so
maybe. I'm not sure.
Best might be in a bit of trouble. Mines are getting set up on the flank to make sure that Best can't run around this. He's gonna get rid of the observer as well as he tries to push forward right now. There's one more observer to the north, setting up some turrets as well. There's the Reavers. Yeah, one of them very low. I believe it did take mine damage earlier, and so it could fall very quickly. Okay, nice shot there. Actually getting rid of one of these tanks. That's all Best needs to do right now. Just keep backing up, keep taking little pot shots here and there and slowing this down so that he can get a few more rounds of units out. Make sure that he has Zealot speed prepared for this attack as well.
Ooh, some pretty good connections on the Vultures with the Scarab. Shuttle is pretty low, but not taken out. So this is not too bad for Best. He's slowed down this advance quite significantly, taking the wind out of speed sails. He's actually just going to run it down now that leg enhancements is kicked in. That's a good timing for the Protoss to wait for that speed upgrade to then start batting everything back. Still got that shuttle with the Reavers pushing forward as well. Best is looking like he's going to crush speed here. I don't think there's much hope for the Terran player anymore. Best is just doing what he does best, pun intended, of just absolutely eviscerating the Terran with this timing. And that's one of the reasons why you don't want to be aggressive against Best. He doesn't take liberties, man. Like, he gets onto 3 bases and he powers up into 8+ gateways of production almost every time. And he's going to keep smashing Terrans like this until they learn better. And maybe it would have been much better for Speed to go for 5 factory into 3rd from this position. But as it stands, he's taking almost crippling damage. That's a big SCV connection on that Scarab as well. Best is racing ahead in this game.
Yeah, I mean, you can try to take a 3rd here as Terran, but then again, Best might just crack you wide open on the 3rd. You could also just sit back, you know, get a 4th up, and then sit there and make units again and wait for you to try to take a 4th or try to push. And with Storm kind of crack you. But it's kind of one of those things where, like, damned if you do, damned if you don't. If you stay back in macro a bit more, Best is going to have Storms to deal with you. And if you try to push across the map, he's just going to hit you with Zealots and take you down as you try to make that push happen. Base over in the top right being taken here by Best. Speed in a world of hurt. He's praying for big probe damage with some of these little Vulture run-bys so that he can try to come back in this game, but he's not getting quite enough here with these little plays.
Yeah, he's getting a little bit, like 4 or 5 probes there. Not terrible. He got some mine connections on the Dragoons as well, but he's already behind in the curve of the game, so all that does is really make the game a little bit more playable for him as he tries to now move over to secure this 3rd base. Definitely a big advantage to Best going forward. That's another reason why you want to study this guy. He doesn't really do anything that fancy. He's just really solid in his fundamentals and shows you the power of Protoss and shows that you don't need to, you know, rely too heavily on micro or shenanigans or high finesse plays. Just straight up forward thinking of how to shut down any Terran push timings, the safest times to take your expansion. Like, look how late this 4th base is. It's 14 minutes. Like, this is like 3 or 4 minutes behind schedule of what a lot of Protoss optimizers would do. And Best is still sitting pretty because of it. And yeah, you guys can learn a lot from studying this guy and how he chooses to engage and when. And yeah, teaches you a lot about Protoss fundamentals, man. A lot of these other guys have to cut a lot of corners to get ahead of the Terran. Best doesn't. This is not a bad run by coming up here into the natural, maybe catching a few of these transferring probes, but Best on top of the escort party.
Yeah, he's gonna bring these probes up into the top right, and after cleaning out these Vultures, get set up in front of the Terran base so that he can preempt any move out, which will eventually be coming here. This is a big Vulture raiding party heading out on the map, and he could actually pretty easily kill that cannon now and go after the probes. The Dragoons have been drugged all the way back into the corner. He can lay down mines here at the bottom of the ramp and try to kill a lot of probes. Now this follow-up play from Speed is actually sick. So many probes just went down there, kind of negating the fact that this 4th base is even in existence.
Yeah, man, I don't know. Like, I'm a little bit concerned for Speed. Like, Best is just absolutely outplaying him right now. I don't think there's any counterplay to this base in the top right. I feel like he's lost too many units to do that. It's gonna take him a long time to get maxed out. He's got plenty of factories, but right as he starts to get mined out on his main, this is going to be really worrisome. It won't be long until that natural's mined out as well. And getting a 4th base is the hardest thing on Metropolis in a lot of matchups. This is one of them for the Terran. So the longer this goes on, the worse it's going to become for Speed. I'm not so sure about his chances at the moment. I feel like his win percentage is gradually diminishing.
He's going to come back in here, try to get a few more probes. This does cut into his overall army supply, throwing away vultures like this over and over again, but he doesn't really have a choice. He's got to try to slow down Best as much as he can, buy himself a bit of time here so that he can max out as quickly as possible. And you know, he's done a really reasonable job. Look at his supply in comparison to Best. I mean, it's not like he has a fantastic position here, but he's at least made this game playable. Look at that, 175 to 182. Not bad, man. If he gets over here and, for example, snipes a bunch of these High Templar, if he can get some vultures out on the map to snipe High Templar, maybe there's a shot. 4 shuttles with Storm and a ton of Zealots. Best is ready to crack down on whatever army moves forward here, and in fact there's a lot of tanks stacked up on top of each other. He may just want to dive this, try to get a big storm on that back line of tanks.
Yeah, I don't think he'll do anything until Speed moves out, but he is set up to do that. He's now starting to set up a very big rally point in the top right as well. So many High Templars, but like you said, maybe he can snipe the High Templars. That would be pretty crazy if he kills a majority of these. That's definitely a comeback mechanic. He's killed 3 so far. Maybe he can get a 4th, not quite, but I mean, any damage is good right now. Taking away a lot of the splash damage potential of the Protoss might help him explode out onto the map, and at the bare minimum maybe secure that center base, because his natural's about to be mined out. He has to go now.
Oh, he's going. Oh, he's going. Best is heading into this natural. Oh, okay. Turns around. A bit of a fake out there. Speed's really got to be careful with this push, man. Look at the tanks are pretty stacked up. And it's got a natural when you're pushing out of the natural here with how tight it is going out into the middle of the map. That your tanks will get kind of stacked up. You got to be super proactive as the Terran player. Make sure that the tanks spread out and siege up properly, or you're just going to get smashed. Great snipes here. 3 High Templar go down instantly. This is a big comeback mechanic for Speed. Just getting rid of those splashy units is making a huge difference in this game.
Yeah, he's got a lot of tanks. I mean, if Best fumbles the ball here, there's definitely a way of which... I don't know where these probes are going, man. To Narnia. I think he's trying to transfer them to the 12 o'clock and needs to manually control them to go on the right-hand side. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely a way of Speed to win this game. There's a lot more High Templars being loaded up now back at home, though, so he will still have a lot of splash damage potential. But if Speed splits his tanks well, if he sets up at the right time, it's going to be really hard for Best to crack open this position. Speed could get a 4th base online.
Speed pushing towards top right. He's gonna set up a big mine layer here on the right hand side. He is moving a lot of this army. Okay, big siege up here. Gotta have a little bit more of a spread. He actually unsieges and we'll kind of spread things out a little bit. Taking the middle of the map. Looks like that can be denied for now. I don't think that he can actually hold that. As Best can just kind of come forward here, storm the SCV down or gun it down with Dragoons and at least slow that down, prevent that for now. He forces the cancel. Speed starting to close in on this base up in top right. Storms from the high ground doing a lot of damage. Killing off a ton of these vultures. Just buying time for now because Speed is having a hard time getting this 4th base online and Best is just continuing to macro up.
Yeah, the longer this goes on, the worse it gets for Speed because the rally point in the top right is looking pretty hefty. We got some counterattacks now coming towards the natural 3rd location. He's not going to commit to that. It's just to maybe keep Speed a little bit spread thinly here and slow down his advance. He might be looking to crack open one of these positions, though, in a minute. He could be eyeing up this third base location. He knows that Speed is heavily committed to the center of the board, as well as this 12 o'clock position. So Best is just going to do a massive dive bomb. Pretty good mind connection on one of those High Templars, but he's starting to blanket the retreating SCVs with some Storm now on this evacuation. It's going to take a little bit of time to get his army up here to kill this CC, so the CC might actually live. It's already floating away ahead of schedule. And so Best, you know, he's not actually killed this base, he's just stopped it from mining, but that is pretty much the majority of the economy of Speed here, besides the center that he could take soon. So right now, Speed is essentially not mining at all, really. And yeah, I mean, as long as Best keeps playing keep away, he's even got a DT to skirmish those tanks. A nice little vulture run by to get on top of the High Templars. It's crazy how many High Templars he's making at a time. So sometimes these vulture attacks are punishing Best in a big way, but I'm not sure it's going to be good enough. Maybe if Speed can make a lot of headway up here in the top right, knock out the 12 o'clock and then rotate to the other rally point, that'd be great. But how can he hold on to the middle of the map as well as doing all of those things? It doesn't look tenable. I think that Best is about to break open this middle position.
Yeah, he's getting in here and shutting down the one source of income for Speed, getting on top of these tanks. Storms on the SCVs retreating, and the tanks pushing forward. Big storms here, absolutely all over these units. It doesn't matter how many High Templars that Speed kills in this game, 2 more will replace each individual that's been killed, and absolutely overwhelming numbers of storms here on all of these units. Speed has to, it's make or break right now. He has to take this base and start wiping out some bases of Best, and it doesn't seem possible with this many storms. My gosh, the retreating defense here of Best is so painful.
Yeah, like, this doesn't look good for Speed at all, man. Losing the center and still not mining optimally at this natural third for some time. I feel like the writing is on the wall for our Terran player. He's got quite a lot of tanks on the field, but no vulture support at all. Best is going to start gobbling those up. And also we'll have another base established. He's got the bottom left and he's got the top right natural about to be mining soon as well. Speed has to tap out. And there's going to be just one lifeline remaining for the Terran squad. Who are they going to bring back? I think you have to bring back either Royal or Sharp, and I would maybe suggest bringing back Royal rather than Sharp. Even though Sharp did manage to beat Best on Metropolis, I don't think he's going to get a repeat of that. And I think Royal, stylistically speaking, and with his recent performances, might be the better challenger to Best. I think Sharp just not as good of a late game Terran versus Protoss player.
Order up, 1 French Big Mac has just been revived. Royal spawning in the top right hand corner. What kind of cheese does he have for us today? His opponent Best on an absolute tear, looking to bring it home for the Protoss squad that's done so well this season in KCM.
Yeah, I'm glad they did bring back Royal. Best looking pretty scary right now, but Royal has been playing like an absolute beast as of late. He might be definitely the worthy challenger that is necessary to bring it home for the Terran squad. They did so good in the early stages, knocking out multiple players in a row, but Best has brought it back in a big way. Mini doing a little bit of heavy lifting as well, taking down a couple of players. Royal initially, as well as Sharp and then Royal, and now Best, you know, he's kind of lined up to close it out. And we haven't had a Protoss champion for a long time in the KCM. Like, they've had a hard time, generally speaking. This has been one of the only seasons where they've performed well during those 8 weeks all the way to the end, and it would be nice to see them take down the championship here.
Yeah, it absolutely would. It would be nice to have a Protoss champion in ASL as well. We're both Zerg players, but we have our own favorites. Definitely Best at the top of that list. And definitely deserving of a title. Snow as well, man. Snow, I mean, long overdue for, you know, some of these Terran players like Royal, who got such a sick run in the ASL and managed to get a title without really taking on any Protoss players. When is that going to happen for Snow, man? go through the ASL without taking on any Zergs. It would be a cakewalk for him.
Yeah, I mean, we have had ASL champions that managed to avoid their weak matchup the entire time. It happens. It could happen again. And who knows? Now that Royal is playing super solid, you know, you might get players like Royal taking out Soma and making the run for Snow just that little bit easier. Like, imagine a Snow versus Royal finals or something, and then Snow can finally get one. That'd be pretty cool. I have got my eyes on Best as well. This guy has been a bit of King of Silver over the years. He's always been around. He's always been playing really solid. It's just his Protoss versus Zerg has held him back a lot. But he's come a long way, and he's now one of the biggest comeback kings in PvZ, so I have every hope that he can make it happen. Just a matter of time. A little bit of pressure play from this first seller, and Best actually optimized for a pretty late gas this game. So I'm not sure what he's going to do as a follow-up. I kind of imagine he was going to take a reasonably fast Nexus, but he actually isn't. It's kind of interesting how he's going about this. Coming back in with 2 Zealots now, in conjunction with the Probe, but eventually that Vulture will be out, so he kind of needs to turn around. And yeah, he's going for like a 26 Nexus. It's a very weird timing here. Very late gas. Maybe he was thinking about doing a gasless play this game and taking a quick Nexus, and then realized that Royal was close spawns and is optimized against it. But it means he's slightly off meta with these timings.
Royal here, just kind of hanging out with the Vulture. Usually end up setting this kind of around the side, try to set up for mines at the third, but he's waiting for something here. Maybe waiting for a probe to try and come across the map. Maybe waiting for this first Dragoon. But instead, he's finally going to come across. He sees the Dragoon, doesn't take any damage to it. Best of both worlds here, gets this confirm and doesn't take that damage. He's going to loop back around to the same position. It's kind of funny play from Royal, just kind of hanging out over this area. Oh, wow. Best going to go into DT. Is Royal just sitting here waiting to throw down mines in the path of the DT walking?
Maybe. I don't... Let's see. I don't know. I don't think he will. I think he'll try and check the third. And yeah, I don't think he's going to anticipate this. I mean, Best does mix in DT to his play fairly often, but it's like a 1 in a 5 game type thing. He doesn't do it a lot, and it's going to be a DT drop play as well. He does this so that people don't metagame him. You definitely don't want to play the same way every single time. It's one of the reasons why DeWalt has such a hard time qualifying for the ASL, because they kind of know his style. You know, he's a gateway man kind of guy, and if you play like that every single time, they'll just end up metagaming you. So this is not a bad idea here from Best to try and blindside Royal with this DT drop play. Royal is coming out across the map with 5 Marines and 2 tanks. Probe sees it, and there's not a lot of units here. I think 3 Dragoons and 2 Zealots. I mean, that can hold, but he kind of needs at least 1 more Dragoon to make this a solid hold. With Micro, you can make this work, though.
This might be good for Royal because he's going to get mines pretty close to the Protoss base. And, you know, he might see the blur here, which will give him some time to react, seeing that there's actually DTs popping out, and, you know, get a turret up in time. More Vultures coming up to the front, trying to lay down these mines. I think they'll be better suited just attacking here because the unit distribution is so in favor of Royal. He's just got way more than his opponent right now. He's killing a lot of probes. Probes are off the line fighting right now. Some of the tanks go down. I think he saw that Dark Templar. I believe that's been spotted. He will get a huge mine connection with that drop. That was a sick drop. Sick mine connection there on all of those Terran units, but this actually gives Royal so much leeway. He's going to get this turret up with plenty of time to spare. He knows it's a DT. He knows it's a drop as well, and he's just killed so many probes.
Yeah, he killed a lot of probes, and there's only Vultures to defend back at home, so maybe the DTs can still do a lot of work. Let's see. But yeah, already good compensation for Royal with that attack. Best not able to slap it down easily enough. He does wall off with some pylons and then cancels one to deny the vulture run by continuation. It's going to be a little bit tricky to come in here with this turret and mine setup that Royal has got. Royal was just playing on a different level, man. Like, he did so much damage with that push, it's insane. And Best is going to have a hard time making this play work. He would have almost been better off just playing super standard and not going for the DT play, but I understand that he wants to mix it in still.
Yeah, it's like you said, you can't allow your opponents to metagame you, but this is a great push from Royal. It's just a probing attack to see what his opponent had, and he just didn't have enough. Going for both, like, if you just go straight DTs, probably you have enough to hold that off, and it's not too bad. But DT plus shuttle, it's just so many resources going into those tech units early game. It cuts into your army so heavily. Best was not able to put together enough defense to shut that down, and now that he's taken this much damage, he's gotten nothing out of the DTs. I can't imagine him winning this game. I don't know how Royal could possibly throw this, especially at his level right now.
Yeah, I think Best has a shot, but it's tough against someone like Royal that's been playing insane. And the third base timing is identical for both sides, which heavily favors the Terran. He drops the DT, forces a scan, and quickly scoops up again. It's about as good as he can hope for right now. He's definitely falling behind the scaling in this game. Royal is like leaps and bounds ahead. He hasn't made that many factories because he knows he doesn't really need to right now. He can kind of optimize for a very quick third command center and then start throwing down the extra factory. So he's gone like 4 factory off of this fast CC. And that should be more than enough to keep Best at bay and put himself into a better and better game state going forward. I guess it's possible that Royal makes a blunder and suddenly Best comes back into the game, but the way Royal's been playing lately, I'm not really seeing that in the cards.
Yeah, mines are a pretty good Protoss unit. Sometimes they connect really, really solidly on Terran clumps of tanks, and you know, there's always possibilities for Protoss Splash to suddenly, you know, swing things in the Protoss favor. He's also got this very fast Templar archive, so you know he can get into High Templar pretty quickly, and High Templar drops will be coming out in not too long. But he's just getting all the tools, right? He's got the super quick third base. He's gonna go directly into Starport, so he can get a dropship out on the map, you know, look for opportunities to deal damage if Best is being too greedy, and optimize for his +2 timing. Make sure that he has the upgrades that will make it incredibly difficult for Best to trade efficiently in the mid and late game.
Well, in an ideal world, Best would have didn't take too much damage from the first attack, would have done something with the DT drop, and then could have double expanded into Arbiter play. But because he's having to play more conservatively after taking that much damage, and he can only take the mineral only, he can't go Arbiters off of that Templar tech, so he's going to be a little bit suboptimal in his style from now. He's going for a 4th base at 11 minutes, which is greedy for Best. Like, he's doing this because he knows he's so far behind, and there is actually a Stargate, so he might still be going for that Arbiter play, which it isn't terrible, but it takes a long time to come online when you're this far behind. And we already have a science facility for Royal to get into +2 weapons, as well as science vessels to combat the Arbiter. So yeah, this isn't ideal for Best, but he has a shot.
Yeah, Royal's taking all the right liberties in this game, man. He's got his +2 double armories spinning right now. That fast base, plus he's gonna drop. Like, you can't really afford to do all this against Best if he's playing a normal macro game. It's just not gonna be possible.
Right.
He will crack you open. He will smash you as you take the third base. So the fact that Royal's able to do all this is just due to the early game plays, the failed DT play, and all the damage that was done by the initial attack. Royal taking those liberties is going to give him more and more of an advantage, but Taking the 4th base right now, maybe a step too far. Drop over at the natural, killing a lot of probes right now. Best not reacting to that. Oh boy, Best not reacting to that in any sort of good time. He lost a lot of probes there, and he's going to lose more in the main as well. He's like angling at the natural, it looks like right now, with a bunch of his units, but you can't push in there. That's so many tanks, and dude, Best is just losing so much. I'm not sure. I don't want to call it, but dude, Royal is so far ahead now.
Yeah, he kind of baited Best into worrying about cancelling this CC at the 12, which he successfully did, but the real attack was this dropship play, which completely blindsided Best. He's lost 10 probes, now 11, 12, 13. It's starting to stack up. This is a lot of damage done to Best, making this game state more and more untenable by the moment. And yeah, it's looking a little bit bleak for Best. He does have Arbiter Tech, but that gets scouted now as well. The dropship flew over the Arbiter Tribunal as well as the Stargate, so he knows about the follow-up play, so he can start making vessels as well. Not ideal for our Protoss player. It's looking more and more like a Royal game. Anything can happen though in a game of StarCraft. There's always that puncher's chance for Best here, but I don't know how he's going to stop this timing, because his Arbiter's like going to be popping out without enough energy to do anything right as Royal is coming across the map.
Still gonna be careful. Spread those tanks. Royal, a little bit stacked up right now. Gonna start to spread those out bit by bit. Is he actually gonna try to split this map in half? The way that he's positioning his tanks and setting up mines, it kind of looks like that might be in the cards. I'm not exactly sure. No vessel here just yet, so this Arbiter is being a little bit annoying by cloaking all of these units. He doesn't kill the tank though there on the high ground. Pretty good storm stealing, quite a bit of damage to these vultures, but Royal is in a great position. It's going to be super hard to break him here.
Yeah, I'm not feeling it for Best right now. I feel like Roy was set up pretty tight. He's going to take that 4th base now. I think he's floating over a CC to it. I'm not sure if this is going to be a split map situation. He is gearing up to make it look like that's what it's going to be. We'll have to see if he does want to just sit and split and maintain the good position that he's already found himself in. And the science facility was pretty quick this game, so his upgrades will be on curve. Best trying to take a base at the 3 o'clock as his 5th. This is going to be a really hard base for Best to cling on to. Like, he has to actually win some fights to maintain this base. It's a bit ambitious for him to go for that. I guess he doesn't want a split map position. He's trying to do everything to avoid it. But I think Royal's still going to be successful in setting it up. He's being very fluid with his army movements. There is a shuttle coming down to the 12 o'clock. Maybe that could do some heavy damage to Evo.
There was a lot of SCVs on that one mineral patch. They've been pulled away now. Quite a few kills there, and he actually keeps most of the High Templar alive. These can just kind of sit in the corner and gather energy for a bit of a later attack. Seems like Arbiter with Recall might be the play. Recall 12 o'clock and try to slow that down. I mean, there is a hope here for Best if he can just deny bases and keep recalling over into some of these positions. There may be a way. Oh my gosh!
No. Oh no!
Science vessel. Does he have EMP?
No way!
Oh my gosh, okay, he has to cast it early. He does get the recall off, but he had to cast it early. It's at least not on mines here, but that's not enough units to really make a splash, and Ro's just going to collapse on it very quickly.
Yeah, it almost would have been better off just not recalling at all. A little bit surprised to see that from Best. Seemed like a bit of a panic response to being EMP'd. Bit of a shame, man, because he did kind of thread the needle with that Arbiter for a while, but Royal was really in position with his army, and that was a crazy positioning on that science vessel to intercept that. Pretty good Sonic Storms at 12 o'clock. It's reasonable damage, but it's not enough to claw his way back in the game yet. It does look like a split map situation here from Royal, taking the top left natural. Best kind of struggling thus far. He can still make it work with some good fights. He's trying to catch these tanks out of position before they get any supporting units into the center of the board. There's a lot of zealots here, but plenty of army for Royal showing up as well. Those tanks are pretty clumped, so maybe with some good Sonic Storms it would be winnable, but there's just not enough for Best to go the distance. Unfortunately, he's really struggling in this game to keep up with Royal with all those early game shenanigans.
Yeah, that's just too many tanks, man. Royal being fluid with his army and getting over here to reinforce the center while taking top left and splitting this map in half. You know, there's still possibilities. I feel like if Royal had been a little bit more proactive, like tried to run it down on Best, I think that Best could have fallen apart. Maybe he comes back, but I think that like really going for the late game here and with Arbiter play, you stand the best chance of making some sort of miracle comeback as the Protoss player. Like if he gets constant recalls up here into the top left and just keeps denying this base, maybe there's a shot here for Best. It's a long shot, but there's a possibility.
Yeah, I'm not too sure about this recall. Like, Royal has just been so proactive with getting his army fluidly around the map in very efficient fashion, and he's shutting down all of the Arbiter play thus far. I mean, Best doing a good job of skirmishing from the high ground. It's slowing down Royal. Best was also probing for weakness on the right-hand flank here. While distracting Royal. This is basically what you have to do in these positions, is try and set up little 1-2 punch combos to break a hole in the Terran's defensive line. You can see a little bit of weakness here from Royal. He hasn't got quite enough army to keep this at bay. So there is a possibility that Best can get on top of the rally point location, maybe get on top of the mineral only as well, but there seems to be just a little bit too many units from the rally point to hold that back. Best making some good headway in sniping tanks in the top left, but not able to break through the defensive line of the Terran overall.
Man, this is very good play from Best. The attack into the natural while being annoying here in the top left was pretty sick, and he actually ended up killing off a lot of vultures. He got a couple tanks there too. Just little counterattacks like this, giving him a bit more time to get that base in bottom left set up to get that extra rally point.
Yeah.
And look to deny top left. He's got to slip another Arbiter or two up into top left if he really wants to shut that down, prevent that from coming online, and that's really what he needs to do to make this game work. Unless, hold on, huge recall potential over here at the natural. Big recall does go through, and no mines here to actually hit any of this. Both of these armories are here, and +3 is not done. That's that +3 spinning right now in the right armory. Is he going to go after that? Doesn't really look like it. Instead, trying to fight the tanks, and the armory will survive.
Yeah, but he needs to stop pushing on the left-hand flank. As Royal is moving over his army to defend this, Best has to make headway. He needs to crack open this position on the left-hand flank and expose this expansion that's recently been established by Royal. There's a few units rotating over from the middle and plenty from the rally point, but maybe Best can find this tiny little timing window to punish Royal. It's not looking terrible. He is on top of the base already and has enough forces to put out some Blankets of Storm as well. Preemptive D-Matrix to keep the front tank alive, but Best does force an evacuation on this base here to the mineral only. If he can get a snipe on the CC, that might be an okay spot for him, but he also needs to trade well. Not just killing bases, but trading off units every time. This is a comeback mechanic for Best, man. He's not out of the woods yet, but this is the stepping stone to doing it. This is a great play from him, pulling Royal across the map over and over again and finding these little counter-attacking windows.
Man, Royal's really going to regret trying to split the map in half if he ends up losing this game. He had such a massive advantage after that failed DT drop, and it's starting to look a little bit more playable here for Best. Like, if he can just keep the pressure over here in the top left, keep sending Arbiters over, and keep this army alive on that high ground, maintain that threat, It's very hard for Royal to mine this mineral only. Like, you could just storm right over this wall at any moment, and there's not really a lot that Royal can do about it except for try to EMP you.
Yeah, and Best setting up for another counterattack. Like, just as Royal is like consolidating forces on the left-hand side to make sure nothing bad can happen, another running it down from Best, and there's not that many tanks here, but it looks like he's still going to turn away. Doesn't want to risk a bad fight. Just one bad fight is all it will take for Royal to go for a massive counterattack and punish Best, so he needs to maintain a large standing army at all times. We've got 3-1 upgrades here for Best as well as Royal, so the upgrades favoring the Terran. He needs to kind of outmaneuver him in this game, and now that 3 o'clock is going to be encroached upon. This is the kind of the problem with taking this base. He's gotten like 33% of the minerals mined from it, so it's not terrible, but eventually this base will be eliminated by Royal. Another massive storm onto the SCV line from the main base is one of the intricacies of this map. Is a little bit like Polypoid, where you can go for that kind of maneuver. Best doing so much of a little, but EMP does shut down this Arbiter play, setting up for a recall at the 12 o'clock position. Royal still fighting strong in this game, but now there's definitely an opportunity for Best to slowly get the win condition that he needs, but losing this 3 o'clock base is a little painful.
Yeah, I mean, just taking some of the minerals out of there is nice. I don't think he was planning to mine that forever, but basically just getting any money off of that is pretty good, because eventually Terran, I think, will end up with that base. Maybe he's gonna go over here and take center left now that that's been taken over. EMP once again on the Arbiter. We're seeing kind of why Arbiter's not that popular these days. He's still making it work though in a big way, jumping on top of this turret. Both these tanks are going to go down immediately, and he's potentially going to deny this CC once again. This is crazy. Best is getting so much damage with these recalls.
It's so low, just needs to get a few more hits on that repair. Coming out, does lose the CC though. Really big plays from Best, and Royal starting to get mined up, man. There's actually an attack at the 12 o'clock that the Observer missed as well. Royal is not mining right now, saying there's a few trickle of minerals coming in from a few of the patches at the natural third as well as the natural expansion of Royal, but not a lot. Best is the one that's suddenly very far ahead of this game, economically speaking. He's done a great job of outmaneuvering Royal in this game. He's now going to be down to just one base of mining at that 12 o'clock position. If he can keep outmaneuvering Royal like this, he's definitely going to win the game. But Royal going to go for a big Hail Mary push down the center of the board now. Knows he's got an army lead. Just needs to find a frontal engagement with Best. Best done a great job of circumnavigating any direct assaults from Royal thus far, but Royal's trying to force the issue now.
Yeah, he's trying to just run it down here, force the fight, head-on assault from Best, which will favor Royal with those upgrades having kicked in. Wasn't able to deny that +3, and it's done now. 12 o'clock is mining, but Royal is very low on resources. You can see he's got like 11 minerals, and it's barely trickling in here, but 168 supply with that +3 is scary. Can Best put together the army and the engagement that can win him the game now?
He's just got one stasis to operate with. Gonna take him another minute to get another stasis here. Evacuating the natural expansion to maintain his probe count. Here comes that potential. He's actually gonna bait out an EMP with a low HP Arbiter and come in with the real one now. Actually just stasis is the Arbiter, sorry, the Science Vessel. Maybe Best can do this, man. There is quite a lot of tanks in the back line, but no Vulture support. I think Best is doing it. This is crazy. Finally some Vultures getting here from the rally point, but about 20 seconds or so too late. Best is suddenly crushing Royal. This is one of the best comebacks we've had in a PvT in a long game. I don't know how this guy does it, man. He's a tactical genius with how he moves around the map with his army. With Arbiters, it's actually pretty tricky. That's a beautiful stasis as well to sandbag the advance of Royal and take the wind out of his sails as more units from the rally point of Best get to the front.
Yeah, there's just been no progress with this. I thought that Royal was going to come down here, set up a big contain, kill this high ground, mineral only and the natural at the very least, but he hasn't done either of those things. He hasn't been able to because Best is once again diving on top of him and lowering his supply now below 90 as all these tanks fall. He's gonna drop to critical levels of low supply, down to just 63 total. And this is just about over, man. These last few tanks and vultures die. You could tell that Royal's on the verge of GG, and there it is. GG is called. Unreal comeback from Best.
Wow.
Able to win here for Protoss in the end. Oh my gosh, what can you even say about Best right now, Shun?
He's just so good, man. Like, King Kong himself, managing the pull, the comeback of the lifetime out of the bag, and getting a win on the board for the Protoss squad in this Season 4 of KCM to close out the year 2025, man. Maybe this is a start of brighter things to come from the Protoss lineup. Getting the clapper for KCM. We knew that there was going to be a lot of weight on the shoulders of Best in this finals, and he didn't disappoint, man. Royal has been playing out of his mind recently, but seems like Best just too much to handle.
All right, we're just going to go for a pause right here. As you can see on screen, 2026 KCM Season 1 Week 1 will be on the 15th of January. So look forward to more great seasons of the KCM, guys. It's been a blast here, Shun, in 2025 casting not only KCM with you, but also the ASL, SCSL, so many more great tournaments. In fact, we're going to be doing 2v2 tomorrow. Once again, we're going to be doing the finals of the Echelon tournament. And yeah, just awesome year of duo cast. We've also started up just this year the dual cast Patreon. So many of you guys have joined. We really appreciate your support with that. It's been awesome. If you guys want to check it out, link in the description. And even if you're not going to support financially our cast and help us out with keeping this going, you can at least join that page for free and follow along, see where we're going to be casting, because we're not always casting on my channel. We're sometimes casting on other channels, and you'll get all the information, all the download on where we're going to be at and what we're going to be casting in the future.
Yeah, we've had a great year of StarCraft. It's always been a pleasure to cast alongside you in the booth, saying there'll be more and more great years of StarCraft to come. I'm super stoked for Protoss finally getting a win on the board this season. They've had the best season they've played, I think, since we started casting together. It's so often that Protoss tends to flatline in those later weeks of the season, and they can never quite pull it out of the bag. But this time around, totally different squad, able to go to distance. And yeah, big work from Mini, taking down Sharp and Royal after their initial issues. And Best closing it out. I mean, you kind of need King Kong to do it. He's the best Protoss versus Terran player on the planet, and now you can see why. He was playing from behind that entire game, went for a DT drop play that completely got shut down. Like, he took so many probe losses initially to the push timing of Royal, and then did next to no damage with the DT drop play, and still somehow clawed out a win out of it. This guy is on a different level, man. And Arbiters, they're usually a mid-range unit. They don't have a really high potential of value compared to something like Gateway Man with Storm. But Best felt like he needed to do that to transition from the DT and also give him enough utility options in counterattacking and avoiding direct engagements with Royal for a very long time. And it turned out to be the winning ticket here. Royal did not play bad as well. Royal's been playing absolutely out of his mind lately, but he just got outmaneuvered by Best. That's some of the most impressive PvT I think we've seen all year.
Fantastic PvTs today in the final of the KCM Season 4 2025. Guys, if you wouldn't mind, go down to the first link in the description. Look at these two guys on screen. These two beauties, KCM and Piano, have been here all season, absolutely killing it, putting on a fantastic tournament for us to watch and for us to cast here for you on this channel. So go over there, hit the like button, leave them a comment, make sure to say Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to these two beauties, and Other than that, I think we're good. That's a season. That's the whole year, guys, of KCM
That's a wrap.
2025. That's a wrap. Let's go.